Alright, and welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. I am Midnight, and I am here with Mythic
Hello.
and Darkness.
Hi.
This is episode 3 of Well of Ascension, and we have read chapters 13 through 17 this week. So I hope you enjoy all of our thoughts. Getting straight into our first epigraph. It says, when I finally had the realization, finally connected all the signs of the anticipation of Alendi, I was so excited. Yet when I announced my discovery to the other Worldbringers, I was met with scorn. Oh, how I wish that I had listened to them. So why do you think that the other Worldbringers changed their mind eventually? Because we know that they apparently scorned him at first, but we know that they obviously changed their minds later on.
They were infected with the deepness.
What are world bringers?
So the Worldbringers, based on what we've learned from the logbook and from Quan's notes, is basically like this council of Terrace philosophers, who were like the ones that kind of talk about this religion. We don't have a lot of details on them, but we know Quan is part of the Worldbringers, I believe.
So there's world bringers and there's keepers.
Yeah. So I don't think there's been any Worldbringers from after the Ascension. I think they were the ones who, like, as I said, like, watched over this, like, prophecy, and then the Keepers are a separate terrorist thing that happened after the Ascension because they wanted to make sure the knowledge wasn't lost. Now that the
So you're
world
telling me
has
the
been so
terrorist
fucked up.
people have like all the types of fucking cults?
Sure.
I mean, they know the most about religion, so yeah.
Well,
Oh,
that's just based alone. But yeah.
And that's just one big cult.
Well, no,
so.
all the Keepers know about the religion. Sage just specializes in religions.
Mm-hmm. Just like
they all know each other.
Later. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they all know everything, so that they can pass on the knowledge, or if like one of them dies. But they all specialize in something different as well.
He doesn't know their own, right?
No, that was the one thing that the Keepers don't have is information on their own religion. Everything he has about it is from the logbook.
I think that's like a huge part in it, low-key.
The fact that they don't know about
Their
the
own
original
stuff,
prophecy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like, how does Say's like, I get it, it can be lost in time or whatever, but he's like a terraceman, a keeper, like based on religion and everything.
I mean you should be asking obviously like the first set of keepers, because look, he's like a keeper from 1,000 years after the Ascension. This knowledge has all been passed down to him. All the keepers when he became a keeper didn't have this information, so he obviously can't have it either, and he's been searching for it, but never found anything until the logbook.
Yeah, so I'm assuming like it's hidden for a reason, you know,
which is like, literally I think the only person who would have known anything about it was Rashek, but he's obviously dead now.
He's not dead though. That's the thing. He's not dead.
He's dead. I believe he's dead.
As far as we are aware, he is dead.
Nope, he's gonna come back. He's not dead.
That's why I said as far as we're aware.
Yep.
His melted form just starts like becoming solid all over and shit.
I'm just waiting for a third army to come in and murder the other two armies.
Oh,
the
gosh.
Kakarot's.
With the Kakarots, yeah.
So did you have any thoughts on this epigraph, Mythic?
No, not really. I mean,
right.
Aside from the fact that I'm pretty sure an epigraph or two ago, he was saying that he didn't believe Alendi was the...
Well, yeah, so he's saying originally when he thought Alendi was the Hero of Ages, he had gone to the Worldbringers and said, look, yep. I have found the Hero of Ages, and they said, fuck you, no you didn't. And then later on, he's like, oh shit, I've made a mistake, and they're like, no, he really is the Hero of Ages like you originally said. So like, they kind of switched positions.
Yep. Pretty much.
So... but yeah, so we start this chapter with Vin and Oriser as Vin is asking Oriser if he's noticed mist coming earlier than normal. Oriser doesn't seem to think that it's strange, but says he will if Vin wishes him to find it strange, and that he'll believe what she wishes, which just makes Vin rub her head and drop the subject. Vin then moves to the topic of the imposter and how she needs to know more of the Khandra so that she can figure out who is one. Oriser tells Vin that the Khandra will be working under a contract and that there are no rogue Khandra who work without a contract. Did you believe that? Do you believe that there's not a single rogue Khandra?
I believed it when we originally read this.
Yeah.
But then later, when she commands him to do something and he just straight up goes no, I was like, all right, well now I don't believe anything you say, because that means you probably lie about shit.
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted to put all my trust in this dude too.
Yeah, because he seems very trustworthy.
Yeah, and he like it feels like he deserves it because he's getting like like fucked over by Vin and everything. But low key, I don't know.
I don't know. I definitely think I've come around to the fact that this dude is a dick, but he still doesn't get treated. He doesn't need to get treated like he does. So.
I honestly kind of like that he's a bit of a dick. I like the kind of sassy Oriser.
I'm just waiting until we meet more Conjuro, so that
Yeah,
we
this is
can
the
see
only Condor
how
you've ever
much of it.
met, so.
Yeah, so we can see how much of a dick the other ones are.
Also, so if you guys do believe that it's possible for there to be a rogue Condra, do you think the one that is being an imposter here is one, or do you think they're under a contract?
I think they're rogue.
Do you think they're rogue, like they're probably not working for Straff or Set? They're just doing something else?
I think they're working for some evil god out there. That's my thought.
What do you
I
think?
still want to believe in gods, so.
What do you think, Darkness?
I think they're on contract.
Okay. Who do you think they're on contract for?
And that's the issue.
You're not sure?
That's why I just said rogue, because I couldn't answer that question.
Yeah, I don't have a specific person that I think they're in contract with. It could be like it could go any type of way,
Either way,
and
yeah.
like a whole completely unexpected turn of events that we just don't know about yet as well. So
The Kakarats.
Are you guys talking
I
about
wouldn't
the
say that.
Kolos?
Yeah,
No, Kakarats.
I don't
now
know
it's the Crocorots.
I don't know what that is.
It's definitely the Kakarats.
So next Vin notes that since Condra aren't allowed to kill humans, someone would have had to sneak in and kill the person and then have the Condra take the body. She notes that due to Breeze
Which I also don't believe. Which I also don't believe.
So you think the Condra did kill the person themselves?
I mean, I'm pretty sure, from the way I remember it, it sounded more like they said that they couldn't be commanded to kill somebody.
Yes, they specifically said they can't be commanded to kill someone.
Yeah.
I think Oriser also says they would never kill someone. Like he I don't remember what the exact quote is or anything, but he seems pretty convinced when he's talking to Vin here that like the Conjure would not have killed the person themselves. He's like, no, it would have to have been someone else.
I mean, he also seems very convinced that they couldn't be rogues. So
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I don't know. It might be in a situation where like Adomancers didn't know about the other fucking metals and shit. Like it could be like where like didn't know they could do this, you know. And but then I'm inclined to believe that they can't really kill a person like that because I feel like that would have been like more of a threat in general.
Pretty big threat, in my opinion, but sure. Shapeshifters are a huge threat to any civilization. Because think about it this way, right? Even if they can't kill somebody, right? If you faked that there was a shapeshifter in your midst, people would eventually get to the point where they would murder each other.
Yeah, but it raised the like threat level if you could get killed by them and then get shapeshifted into.
I mean, he did get killed by somebody though. That's the thing.
Yeah, which is like it gives a whole new chain of command. So.
All right. So she notes that due to Breeze being out of the city, it can't be him that is the Condra, and Elend also couldn't be one because he was with her all day. Everyone else was alone for at least a while, though. Vin then brings up Allomancy, and Oriser says there are things that are not discussed with outsiders. He then asks if she commands him, and she says she doesn't want to command him to do anything, but also doesn't want to dissolve the contract. So he's kind of like, well, if you don't want to command me ever, we might as well just dissolve the contract. And she's like, no. Eventually, Oriser explains that he has not been given a proper role by becoming this dog, and he has not had to become anyone specific. So, why do you think that not having a proper role bothers Oriser so much? Do you think it's just the dog body or something more?
I think he's goal oriented. I think the whole society is.
I think he finds a sense of like self by like portraying a specific person. Yeah. Like that's what his nature. That's what his nature is. Like it's what he's meant to be. And how the fuck do you portray a dog that needs to like communicate and like do things specifically when they don't originally do that?
I find it funny that sentence. He wants to find himself by becoming other people.
And that actually doesn't make like that doesn't like sound too wrong considering that everyone always takes like a piece of others in order to see if they like it.
So
yeah,
Conjuro taking the whole thing.
Yeah, because they're greedy, like Midnight.
Wow.
Like I mean, come on. Midnight even said we weren't doing this podcast, and then
I never said that. You're fucking.
I have evidence.
You
It
don't.
showed.
You're gaslighting me.
Oh, I have
Anyway.
evidence.
You fucking edited that image.
I didn't edit nothing. You edited the thing. It's shown in Discord. It says edited.
Yeah, I
Next
did. I
question.
edited something else in it. It doesn't matter. The final thing that you can see there still says that we're doing the podcast.
Because you edited.
Exactly.
It wouldn't matter, even if I had.
You changed your mind all of a sudden
God, I'm
after I
moving
called
on.
you out.
I'm not dealing with the gaslighting today. So next Finn asks why Kandra hadn't been able to go near Inquisitors or the Lord Ruler, but this time Oriser refuses to eat even a command to speak as it's in the contract, and Finn mentally knows that she needs to reread the contract.
Yeah, I agree. She definitely needs to
So-
read that contract.
Which honestly kind of fucking confused me. Like, why the fuck would you have somebody under a contract with you at all times with that amount of trust and not know what the fuck the contract says by heart?
Yeah, I mean, she apparently has read the contract, but apparently she didn't pay too
Yeah,
much
she said
attention to
reread,
it.
so yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
So
I would have known
is it like
every.
the
I
actual
would have
paper
read.
contract?
Yeah, like I would have fucking known every single detail about it. Like,
I mean, we know Finn doesn't put too much emphasis into reading most days.
that's
You
true.
know, right?
That's
More
true.
surprised when she actually started studying. So.
I was surprised by what she could do, but
Mhm.
I think that's what impressed me more than her fucking skills as an Elementer.
I mean, we were told in the previous one that in the previous book that Vin did learn to read. Like Reen taught her to read and do a little bit of writing, mostly for like spying and like pretending to be people purposes. So like she could pretend to be a noblewoman.
Yeah, it gets brought up here.
Yeah. So Vin eventually finds her mind wandering to the Lord Ruler. She keeps thinking about Rashek, the deepness, and the Lord Ruler's final words about what he did for mankind. To distract herself, Vin asks Oriser what he loves and hates. He states that he doesn't wish to answer, and Vin doesn't force him to speak. She instead says she loves the mist, the power, and the freedom of it. She then feels with her bronze the same. The fuck?
Oh,
Okay. Oh, something happened. Sorry.
I think we're fine.
I think we're good now.
Okay. Okay. Sorry
Um.
about it. Whatever it was.
Where was I? So she then feels with her bronze the same pulsing of allomancy that she had with the Mistspirit previously.
Wait,
She
she felt with her bra?
With her bronze. Bronze!
She tells bras,
She tells Oriser that she hates being afraid and then rushes off to find the Mistspirit. So do you think Oriser will eventually open up more to Vin? Or no?
No.
I hope not. Hope he stays sassy and an asshole, because that's how she treats him, so.
I don't know, I feel like she's treating him a bit better.
She made him a dog, I don't think so.
She literally is forcing answers out of him. I don't know about
She's
that.
not forcing.
Especially,
She didn't force him to say what his likes and dislikes
I
were.
command you to do this.
the only reason she didn't force him to do that is because she saw a part of
Herself
that
in
same.
him.
You know what? We'll get there if we haven't passed it.
I think we are kind of. I think I kind of. Yeah, that was the part that talked about that, where she was like she saw
I
herself.
thought you were gonna ask a specific question about it, but
Not
Yeah,
really. I mean,
alright.
my kind of
Who's hosting this podcast?
my kind of
Seriously?
question. My question though, if
you're
he'd
not
open
gonna
up
ask
more.
You're not gonna ask a question about that resentment in his eyes. Like, do you think that's gonna take a big part on future actions?
That's why
that
I was
they're gonna
asking
take
if
or whatever?
Oriser was going to open up to her more or not, because he specifically
Opening
doesn't.
up to her is the question.
Yeah.
Not do you think he's actually gonna act upon the betrayal or some shit? No.
No.
I hope he betrays her.
So
Wow.
Vin then feels the Mistspirit in a building, and she jumps up through his third-story window and into an abandoned room. The Mistspirit is there, the mist shifting and spinning around it. From the room, it has a view to the roof where Vin and Oriser had been speaking.
Which is weird.
Yeah, Vin's like, that's kind of weird, because why does, a fucking Mistspirit need to, listen in on us from, this room across the street? So Vin asks why it's been watching her, and the Mistspirit takes a step forward and then disappears. Suddenly, something cold, terrible, and real grabs her arm. A pain shoots through her head from her ear to her mind, and Vin yells out, but her voice fails and she falls backwards out the window. So, what do you think about the fact that the Mistspirit is able to touch Vin?
He's trying to get his freaky on.
What?
I want to see those hentais. Too bad we can't look up more shit,
No, you cannot.
Been in the mist spirit.
Ew.
Imagine
First off, you better say the same thing later when our little friend over here is starting to hit the fuck on Vin.
Oh no, that's also gross. I fucking
Okay,
despise.
I was
I
like,
fucking
as
just.
soon as he was like,
hate that.
we're one of a kind, and we should. I was like,
no, gross. I hate. I
ugh.
hate Zane so much.
Ugh.
He's gross. Not a
Oh
fan.
my god! I mean, like, I'm just picturing this man being like, fucking
How old is
old shit, you know? He's
Oh no,
probably not. That's
he's not old as shit. I think he's like.
man knows a lot for not being old.
How old is he?
I don't. Does it? I don't know if it.
Probably mid-30s.
I'm gonna need some info on this dude.
Copper
I'm
mine.
I'm gonna need a picture of this dude.
I
I don't
think
know
we.
about that.
I actually don't think we ever get to know. I don't think it has his age listed here.
That means he dies. Okay, thank God.
Doesn't mean he dies. It just means that he's not important enough that we
That
get his
means
exact
he
age.
dies. That
I
means
was gonna
he
say-
dies.
I don't think that means he dies. I don't think we also have the exact age for many of the characters. We have like estimated ages.
But we don't have an estimated age for him.
I believe he's supposed to be like a young man. I think he's supposed to be like late teens, early 20s,
What?
kind of the same age as
Oh.
like Vin and Ellen.
Oh, okay.
Okay, then that's not that bad.
Man, that does not say so bad. When she's sitting here telling us about how he's so experienced in allomancy and all this, I'm like, this man's old as fuck.
No, I can send you a picture.
Okay, if he's that fucking
Yeah, I'd
young,
love a
like, you
picture.
know what? That's not bad in my opinion. But
I'd love to know what
Whatever.
Zane looks like.
Yeah, I can get a. I believe this.
What's Ellen? Is it Venture?
I'm sorry, is that him?
Is that him? Really?
Because I'm about to say fuck Ellen at this point.
Alright, I'm looking fucking fine as shit.
I can't.
Here's-
No.
Here's
You
Zane
should
and
have
Vin
sent
fighting.
that. You should not have sent that.
Oh, yep. Now I'm on Zane's side. Alright.
Wow!
Fuck Ellen.
Just because you find him attractive, you suddenly like
Ellen.
Zane.
Yeah, fuck Ellen. Zane's
I would-
actually. Well, I mean, first off, I thought Zane was like an old ass man. So
Yeah, no,
like
he's not an old
the
man.
way she talks about it, it's like he's like fucking, you know.
She's
so
commenting on his
experienced.
like allomancy skills, not specifically like.
You're experienced in allomancy at this, like, oh, who are you, Ven?
I would do allomancy dances with him any night.
No,
Anyway.
right? Damn, fuck.
Oh my gosh.
Damn. All right. Well, we just flipped our fucking judgment.
Ew, this fucking photo makes me it's so gross to me. Ew.
It's gonna keep the.
No.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway,
Ugh.
so those are people's interpretations of what Zane looks like based on the books.
Okay. What's the father's last name? Or Ellen's last name, I guess.
Ellen's last name is
Venture?
Venture.
Venture?
Why?
Oh, okay.
I keep in my head. I
Well,
keep
because-
saying Venture.
Yeah, because every time he gets brought up, all I can think of is like, you know, Zane Venture, as in like, you know, he's with the Venture person, because he talks about that. I was like, oh, it's Zane Venture.
No, we don't.
That-
We don't
that-
know what his
that-
last name is.
No, but then he makes
Hey,
a comment about Ellen being the only son, and I'm like, oh, never
Out of
mind, it's not Zane Venture.
Out of curiosity, do we ever know the first name of like what is it, the cousin that he wanted? To
Oh yeah, he has
take
a
over?
nephew apparently that he wants to take over. We don't know. I don't think we
Hmm.
know the name of the cousin.
What if
That'd
that's
probably be him. Yeah, it's probably him.
You think he's like Ellen's cousin? Don't you think
I
Ellen
mean,
would
it would make
recognize him?
But he hasn't seen him.
We don't know that.
I mean,
Oh wait, you're right. He does see him.
Oh, you mean like in the book? Yeah, in the chat. No, he meets him in the atrium.
Yeah.
In my brain, I was thinking about like that part where Vin is like, I shouldn't tell him about him. You know?
Yeah, right? Like, I shouldn't tell him about him. I'm like, oh, you got a love affair going on? Okay.
Bro, that's gonna. I know what's happening.
Huh? It's gonna be a love triangle.
If they're not related, you know, Zayn and Ellen, you know,
Oh my
Oh,
god.
And Gold,
Zane and Ellen. Hmm.
and then that's why Vin turns bad and ends up being like the second coming of the Lord Ruler.
Oh
of
my
Aegon.
gosh. She goes crazy because Zane takes Ellen from her.
Oh my god.
He's
I
like, if
mean,
you
you
won't
know
have
Zane's
me, I'll take
special.
your husband. Well, I guess they're
Yeah,
not
right.
married. She rejected that. He'll take your girlfriend, mistress, person.
Mistress.
That's what
Wait,
they
did
call
she
her.
reject it?
Remember, that's what
Did she
all the
reject it?
people call Vin as his mistress because
You
she's
know,
not married.
Did she reject it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they say in
she-
like the
Oh.
first episode that Vin like apparently turned down
Oh.
Ellen's marriage proposal.
I didn't know she turned it down. I thought it was just that it was proposed.
No, she turned it down.
Mm. Good for her.
Now she can go with Zayn. You know.
Oh god. Anyways, where were we? Um.
Awesome. We got off
Oh
on
yeah.
a
So yeah, the
huge
Mist Spirit.
tangent to the very last. I said we got off on a huge tangent, even
We
though
did.
this doesn't even happen to the last chapter.
Yeah, we got on a huge tangent about Zane. Zane's not even like in it yet. So anyway, so with regards to the Mist
technically he's in it,
Spirit,
but okay.
I think one of you answered, but the other one didn't. What do you think about the fact that the Mist Spirit is able to touch Finn? I don't remember which of you answered.
I mean, pretty cool.
To be fair, it's implied that they can't touch people, considering the
Yeah, he said he killed. In the book, it said the
knife
person
thingy.
killed. Yeah.
Yeah, so it says in the logbook from the first book that I think it either touched Alendi or like it got near him and he felt the cold as well, and then it also stabbed a guy.
Yeah, it
So-
protected him or something like that.
Imagine my theory about the mist being part of that, like, metallic pool or whatever, right? So imagine like someone so advanced that they can manipulate that, like the mist, and just they're like either behind it all, like just like puppeteering that form.
That'd be interesting.
Make a mist doppelganger.
That'd be cool, bro. Like,
so my second question with the Mist Spirit was, why do you think that her arm got so cold when touched? Because she talks about like how like super cold her arm gets, and it feels cold even after like she starts falling.
Because it's a dead thing. I mean,
Darkness?
I still always have that thought that it's like the past. The past chosen people. Yeah, well, the past chosen people are trying to like coax her into because Alendi saw it too. Are trying to coax the new chosen one into doing whatever the prophecy foretells.
have we ever had any any sort of description of what the deepness, like,
No,
any sort of sense of
nothing
feeling?
about the deepness we know about. It sucks.
Yeah, we're gonna get actually into that later because she asks Ellen about it later.
But he doesn't even know though.
Yeah, which she's like frustrated
He's just like,
by.
we have these pictures of when the Lord Ruler was here. Like, okay, man, believe the propaganda.
We'll get into that when we get to that part of Darkness about the deepness more, if you want.
Yeah, some tentacle monster, you know.
Well, if I don't know how to.
Can we get a picture of the deepness?
I'll see if I can
Send
find a
the
picture of
black
like the
screen.
statues or the stained glass window.
You should have just set a black screen, bro.
That'd be the darkness, not the deepness.
Here's a picture of like Vin dashing like past the stained glass window of the Lord Ruler over the deepness that they talk about in the first book.
Oh,
it's just the tentacles. Yeah, it's tentacles. Okay, cool.
So Vin flares tin, then pewter before hitting the ground, and Oriser comes up to her, asking if she needs aid. Vin fears the mist for a moment, but tells herself that she can't go back to fearing the mist, as they're her freedom. She quickly hurries away from the building, not giving Oriser an explanation, and him not asking for one. So we then switch to Ellen's point of view as he sits in his study with the crew members, worrying about who the imposter could be. Apparently he had just gotten back from being in the library for 2 hours gathering resource materials. He also notes that they need to switch the currency from Lord Ruler Imperials, which is apparently what boxings technically are called. They're just called boxings, I guess, as like the common name. And then Ellen says that they should start working on the problem that the crew had already started discussing while he was gone in the library. They state that the two armies will likely try to starve them out, so their only choice is to choose which of the two armies to side with. They discuss who the best option...
So don't side with either of them. Side with the monsters that are coming.
They discuss who the best options would be with a general consensus set, with Doxson briefly wondering if Straff would be more willing to work with them since Ellen is family. However, Ellen's just like, yeah, that's not gonna work. However, when Ellen asks how Set treats the Ska, which is apparently not well, Ellen states that they need to find a solution that is best for the people. So, what do you think would be who do you think would be the best to give the city over to, based on the limited information we have?
Neither.
Give the city to?
Yeah, don't give the city to either one.
I want to give the city to anyone.
So you agree with Ellen, not the crew here, that like
yes,
neither option is good. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Also, out of curiosity, they did talk about, like, I don't remember. This was like in the first book, like way like long ago, but they talk about the fucking creatures, right? The Crocorox or whatever they're called.
Kolos.
There you go. Yeah. They talk about them, and I'm pretty sure they talk about it in a sense where, like, there's control over them.
I believe they said that the Lord Ruler has control over them. And they are mainly on, like, the outskirts of the Dominances, I believe. Like,
he
didn't like to get them too close to, like, Luthadel cities.
Which is like, okay, where are they now? And can you use them to help against them? You know, like, like the armies. Because if he was in control, there's a way to control them. Then, like,
Mhm.
so I don't understand why they're not trying to figure out how to use like the remaining parts of his army and just like
I mean, to be fair, like, I don't know how much do they even know about Kolos is the question, right?
well, they knew enough to know that they can fight for like the Lord Ruler, and they definitely destroy everything around him. So they would be great in battlefield.
Unless they turn on you or something.
Yeah, unless you turn
Which
on
is like definitely why I was saying like there's a way to control them. So
Mhm.
I mean that's like my thing. Like I don't know why they're not looking into it, but okay.
I don't know. We don't. They've not brought them up, so we have no idea what their reasoning could be. So Ellen sets down his stack of books, accidentally knocking some onto Breeze's lap, which Breeze is not. He like rolls his eyes or something. He's like, God damn it. And he opens up a book about Garain. He mentions how hard it is to feed an army. However, Clubs mentions that both armies have access to canals, and Set also has access to the Lord Ruler's canneries. Ellen suggests disrupting the canals, which Dachshund agrees with. So, were you surprised that they have canneries here?
I debated googling what that was and I gave up. So
A cannery is a place where you can goods, like
Yeah.
you get canned foods.
oh,
I don't know. I was always just like, isn't that like more advanced tech than like they have?
We're talking about a civilization that runs off of metal.
It's true.
that's fair. Yeah. To be fair, you also have to think about that like 1,000 years ago, their time, like blacksmiths were things. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're like hella more advanced than we think.
Yeah, we don't know how much like Lord Ruler like, because the Lord Ruler didn't allow a lot of stuff.
He's like, I want canned peaches.
Give me the canned peaches.
You can't have cars, but I will have canned peaches.
Canned peaches. You can't have flying cars, but I want the peaches.
Can't have motorized boats, but I will have my canned fruit.
Don't you know? We can't have cars because the ash.
Yeah, they'll just get stuck. You need like basically snowmobiles that go over the ashmobiles.
No, clearly he was worried about the pollution.
Oh yes.
Clearly, because the sky's not dinge red and fucking.
Gotta be worried about those greenhouse gases.
No. I think it was a little late for that.
But yeah, so
the plants used to be green.
Till we got the canneries, then everything went wrong.
Why not purple?
My canneries.
I know, right? Why not purple or blue plants?
Oh my god!
I feel like they said that
as soon as you said it.
I'm pretty sure Vin says that in the first book.
Yeah. No. As soon as they said that, all they is, but plants are blue and purple.
Well, I think they mean more like the stalks of the plants. Like we get blue and purple flowers and stuff like that, but most plants have like a green aspect of some sort.
And theirs have a brown.
They've got brown plants with some variations of like yellow to red.
They're just stuck in autumn.
So Ellen goes into how, with there being 3 parties and not 2, it's much more of a battle of politics similar to the House Wars. He says that they can try the riskier move of playing both sides to force the other 2 to fight each other, and then hopefully the one remaining would be weak enough to defeat on their own. As the men seem to consider this idea, Ellen thinks about how they're gamblers and don't like to take the easy way out of situations. He's a bit worried about his inner circle being filled with thrill-seeking masochists, but what else could he do? So first of all, do you agree with Ellen's plan? That his is the best suggestion to try and force them against each other and then take them out?
When they're weak, yep.
What do you think, Darkness?
Out
You
of-
agree?
Out of the rest, then yeah, that's the best part. But I guess I totally want to have a whole separate idea or anything like that.
Yeah, out of the 3, Darkness. his idea, I think, definitely seems the best. And then also,
I've won House Wars already, so.
Yeah, he's like, I already like survived a house war. I'm good. Also, are you worried about how willing the group is to take such risky plans, or do you think it's better to have people like this? Because kind of Ellen was just like, I don't know, but these guys are thrill-seeking masochists. I can never say that word.
They're definitely masochistic, that is for sure.
I like that there are multiple options, and that's it. I like the options. I don't like the ideas that come with them,
But I mean, which one do you think is the best?
Mine.
What's yours?
Is this the Kolos one?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, sounds like a good plan. Or I think it's going to come slaughter the 2 of them anyways. So.
So once it's decided that they'll go forward with this, as it as it at least gives them more time to think and plan. A knock comes to the door. Captain Demo states that someone was listening in on their meeting and shows them the terrace woman that Vin had pointed out at the assembly meeting earlier that day. Ellen asks what she expected to hear, but she ignores it and states to the room that she wishes to speak to the king alone, and the rest of them are excused. The terrace woman mentions Vin listening in, and Ellen notes that she must be a keeper, which she agrees, and also agrees that it is because of Says that she is here. Ellen says the others are fine to leave, and they seem reluctant, but eventually go. Ham saying that they'll be right outside if he needs them. So, were you surprised to see her again, spying on Ellen like this?
No, I knew she was going to come up.
I was surprised she was caught.
I mean...
Well, I mean, we find out right away in the next chapter she meant to get caught.
Yeah.
Man, was she really
But like, I meant in that instance.
Yeah, in that instance, yeah.
I liked when she came in and she was like, they're like, well, we can't leave you here, just you two, and she's like, but the person's right outside, you know, the
Mistborn's outside.
right outside,
and they don't even check
right after. Yeah, like, nobody was like, oh, let me go find out if she's actually there. You know,
everyone just assumes she is.
Yeah, they just took her word for it. I'm like I would have called her in immediately.
Be like, hey, Vin, can you come in, please?
Yeah, like. Yeah,
honestly, because if she knows she's there's no point in like being out the window.
Right.
Yeah, I'd be like, all right, Vin, your cover's blown. Come on in. You know, like, Jesus.
That nothing happens. No. So you're like, I don't think Vin's there.
You know, then she's like, oh yeah, she went out on patrol like a long time ago. That's why I chose to get caught. And I'm like, the other thing I thought about was the fact that we're sitting here looking for this imposter constantly right now, and I'm trying to think of all the different possibilities for an imposter. And when she asked. What was the fucking Alendi? Is it Alendi? Is that the one thing's name?
Alendi is the guy from the logbook.
No. Okay, so what's the
Demo?
Is that the no?
That was Captain.
Who was the dog now? What's his name?
Oh, Orser?
Orser. Okay, so when she asked Orser about the fact that can Condra use allomancy, and he says no. All I was thinking is, okay, but that's allomancy. What about
Can they use
could she use Ferrochemy if she was a fucking thing? Like,
I thought that too, bro. When as soon as she walked in, I was like, okay, I don't think she's the one we're looking for, right? And then I was like, but wait, she's a terrorist. She's posing as a terrorist person, right? And he said they can't use allomancy, but they didn't say they couldn't use Ferrochemy. Yeah. And I was just thinking, we also don't know what the other metals do for Ferrochemies. You know, a little shapeshifting action or something.
I don't know about the shapeshifting part of it, but I mean, it could be pretty cool as a Ferrochemist ability.
What if Ferrochemist? There's a metal that turns them into Mistwraith.
Oh, that would be pretty cool, actually.
Interesting.
I mean, they're not Mistwraiths, but yeah, sure. I don't know what the thing is.
So this chapter's epigraph is, and yet, any who know me will realize that there was no chance I would give up so easily. Once I find something to investigate, I become dogged in my pursuit.
Dogged.
So what do you think would happen if Quan gave up? Would the Deepness have won, or would they have found the real hero of ages if there really was a real one?
They already found the real one.
Well, no, I'm saying, so if back then, if Quan had never found Alendi, what do you think would have happened? Do you think they would have eventually found?
They would have taken over, and they would have been dead, and nobody would have lived. You know.
We don't even know the prophecy, do we?
Not really.
Not really, no. We have a lot of hints, but we don't really know it.
Just somebody would come across and defeat the Deepness.
That's like dumb, but okay.
Pretty much. That's pretty much all we got. Somebody will one day come to basically defeat the Deepness. Something about them or maybe that was these chapters. Something about them using the Well of Ascension, but not taking the power for themselves.
Yeah. And also something about them being related to like a whole bunch of like different nations' kings or something.
Watch the Hero of Ages ultimately be Ellen.
That would be cool as fuck, but I don't.
Actually, he kind of fits it.
Why?
Because he's not thinking about himself most of the time. He's thinking about everyone and how to fix the place up.
So if Ellen is the Hero of Ages, does that mean this girl that now came in, is going to be the new Reshek?
Or do you mean the new Quan?
Reshek.
You think she's going to kill Ellen?
Yes.
The thing is, I'm just saying. Think about this big ass possibility right now because she's training him to become king. That just gives it a more solid possibility.
To be fair, I could see how the whole based on the the fact that we don't really know the exact wording of the prophecy, I could kind of see how the being related to like all of sorts of different kings could be related to like, well, she's giving him the knowledge of all these past kings, and thus he has the knowledge, even if it's not like that might be a different way to view like relation.
There was a relation to kings from the prophecy thing.
I literally just talked about that like 30 seconds ago.
It's okay. We don't listen to you.
I don't know.
I heard you say it, but
I don't
we don't
remember.
listen to you.
But sure.
I'm thinking about the Hero of Ages being related to all kings in all nations.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they're kind of like way to fit Alendi into that was the fact that he had many wives apparently, and they're like, oh, they're from like all these different. His wives were from all these different places, so you could say he had a relation.
but that's like
to, like-
manipulation. That's not even at that point. I don't even think he's like he wasn't meant to be. Regardless.
Well, that's what Quan says too. He doesn't think they were right about Alendi. He thinks that he was incorrect about it, and then he thinks,
yeah. I at this point I think Alan fits the bigger picture more.
Yeah, I feel like that's just
Especially if we consider, especially if we consider like I don't know if I should say that, but like the ancestral part of like their nobility.
Yeah, from the little we know, I feel like a lot of like I feel like considering how little we know, you could definitely fit several people in. But yeah, Ellen definitely could be a candidate. That's 100% for sure.
We know too little to really make any actual assumptions.
I will say you will get a lot more information about the prophecy before the end of the book.
Good.
So you'll actually
will we get the actual prophecy or just more about
I don't think we get like it word for word, but you get enough information that because I did all the epigraphs ahead of time, and so I do have questions because there's like specific statements about what the hero age should be like, and so I do have throughout that questions where it's like, who do you think are possibilities for the hero of ages based on this information we've learned?
It's fucking Spook.
I hope it's Spook. Spook is going to be the best candidate ever.
No, never. Yeah. I think he's the fucking...
It's actually Zane. Zane's the hero of ages.
You can't say that because you actually know the ending. So.
Or maybe it's Straff. Maybe Straff's the hero of ages.
Straff then.
Okay.
I think Straff dies in this book, so...
Anyways, so once the crew has left the room, the Terrace woman snaps the bonds on her wrists and tells Ellen she'd let herself be caught after Vin had left to do rounds. Ellen says he's going to call the guards, but the Terrace woman says she could kill him before the guards arrive. She's like, don't be stupid. So she then begins to circle...
If I wanted to kill you, you'd already be dead.
Yeah. She then begins to circle Ellen before telling him to stop slouching and to stop hedging with his language. She forces Ellen to stop slouching, and when Ellen complains, she again tells him to be forceful. Ellen then snaps at her, and she compliments him for it. The Terrace woman then introduces herself as Tindwyl, a keeper of Terrace, and that she hadn't expected him to be so slovenly. She tells him that the Assembly ignores his authority, the Scad don't trust him to protect them, and his friends make plans while he isn't in the room. She says instead of being inside reading, he should have been out with the people, and that he can take advice from her as her specialty is bibliographies such as those of kings, emperors, and generals. So what do you think of Tindwyl's specialty?
It's like she's just a history buff,
Would you say, Darkness?
It's biographies, not bibliographies, right?
Biographies, not bibliographies. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I wrote bibliography, but I think I wrote it down wrong.
I was like, am I tripping?
I think I just fucked up the word I wrote down, and I was just reading it, not thinking about the actual word.
But yeah, I thought it was cool. Also, kind of suspicious because I don't know. The changes seem a little too that drastic at like one go, but I'm kind of worried how Vin's gonna take it.
Oh, who's gonna take it?
Vin.
I mean, okay, we'll see. I mean, I thought it was pretty nice that she was surprised about how he looked. So
yeah, we'll get there. So then Tyndall says she will teach Ellen if she doesn't determine him to be a lost cause. Apparently, Sage had sent her a letter about Ellen a few months ago, although he hadn't specifically asked her to come help him. She mentions that, like Ellen, Sage could also be more forceful. Ellen then agrees to let her help him. Finn returns and asks how Tindwyl knew she was there, which Tyndall just smiles and says Sazed had mentioned her and that they would have to speak soon. Tindwyl also comments on the fact that they are an interesting couple. Then Tindwyl says that she will retire for the night, and Ellen tells Ham to see her to some rooms as she is a friend of Sazed. So what was your first impression of Tindwyl?
She doesn't approve of Vin and Ellen being together.
She doesn't? She smiled when she was talking to Vin.
You're an interesting couple.
I think she likes Vin more than Ellen, based on this first interaction. Oh, yeah. She's like, this is what you should be, Ellen. You should be Vin.
I think everybody likes Vin more. Vin is just better all around.
This is gonna sound horrible.
Oh no.
But
Chance of Darkness.
I was just wondering if she was in the breeding program.
You know, actually, now that you say that, I didn't even think about that, but that's a really good question.
You know what? Never mind.
Because it kind of makes sense with the whole. Kind of makes sense with Says, right? That's his name.
Yeah.
Fucking names are really hard.
Mhm.
It kind of made sense with him with like being basically castrated, but like, interesting.
Yeah, we don't know much what happens to female terrace
Yeah.
terrace
Yeah,
women
that's what I was wondering. That's
because
exactly
we
what I
know
was wondering.
that the males get castrated and become manservants, but there's no mention of any female terrace women ever. So yeah, for all we know, the only female terrace people are in the breeding program, unless because she's a ferochemist, she was like sequestered away to be a keeper.
Makes it even more suspect for me. I'll wait until Says gets back and sees her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. She's gonna be like, "Who the fuck are you and why are you here?"
And then there'd be a whole fucking thing on that.
He pulls up. He's like, "Yeah, this is my sister."
I mean, we don't know their ages. What if it's his mom?
It's Mama Seized.
Okay then. Popping out of that. Wait, do we have a picture of her?
Tyndall? I can probably find a picture of her.
I hate her fucking name, by the way.
Tyndall?
Why?
What's wrong with Tyndall?
I couldn't say it while I was reading. I don't think I could still say it right now.
Luckily, I don't have to say anything. I just listen.
When she was correcting everything, I imagined her with like that fucking that exact same hairstyle at the bottom,
The very
and
bottom.
like a fucking ruler in her hand or some
Yeah.
shit. Yeah.
Smacking him every time he, slouches.
I'm kind of sad there isn't a picture of her and Ellen together.
Oh, that sucks. I mean, I could find it if I looked, but
No.
It's because she dies. Anyway.
So we switch to Ven's point of view as she mentions not liking Tyndall, and Ellen says she is a terrible judge of character since Ellen is apparently the only person she's ever seemed to like at first. Vin asks how the meeting went and says she thinks that they would find the plan exciting. She, however, notices that Ellen seems off and asks what's wrong. Ellen talks about how he worries that although the crew agreed to his plan, that theirs was the better one. He thinks that maybe their plan was risky, but his is even riskier.
this man has some anxiety. He's a goddamn therapist.
Vin says that they fought the Lord Ruler, but Ellen states they had Kelsier back then, which is apparently something that comes up a lot, as Vin says, not this again. Eventually Vin just says that she doesn't like what would happen to Ellen if he had to give up Luthadel to Set or Straff, which makes Ellen call Vin wise and tell him that maybe he's the one with the bad judge of character. What are your thoughts on the fact that Ellen keeps comparing himself to Kelsier?
That annoyed the fuck out of me, Loki. Like I get it. Like you think you're not like you can compare to him or whatever, but like there's nothing you can do about it. So please, like,
I think it doesn't help the fact that the crew keep bringing up Kelsier as well. They're like, oh, if only
That's
Kelsier was here.
Like, I think everyone needs to fuck off for a bit, you know?
Okay.
Because he's probably spent a year being told, like, oh, I wish Kelsier was here. Kelsier would know what to do in this situation. And he's like, damn, they really wish I wasn't the one here. Kelsier was. I gotta be more like Kelsier.
Think about it, though. This man, Kelsey, actually knew what he was doing.
I don't think Kelsier would have been as good a king as Ellen. I feel like Ellen's a better king.
I don't know about king, but yeah. Definitely think he would have been better leader.
He might have had better plans for like this specific situation, but I think day to day, like running a kingdom, Ellen's gonna be way better.
In general.
Yeah, Kelsier would be good like advisor.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much a good like king.
Honestly, that's kind of why I'm hoping that she isn't as much of a bad person as I'm thinking she's going to be. Because she also seems like she'd be a very good advisor in certain things.
Yeah. Which, if she's to be believed, that's why Sazed probably messaged her. Ellen then asks about her rounds, and she lies and says they were uneventful since last time she mentioned the Mist Spirit, Ellen had thought that she was seeing things. Vin then mentions that she is worried about things other than the army, such as what the Lord Ruler said before he died. So do you think Vin should have brought up the Mist Spirit to Ellen?
No.
No?
Yes.
Because, like she said, he thought it was crazy.
I don't know, this time it touched her, though. I feel like that's less likely to be a stress symptom, because he's like, last time he's like, oh, you just saw something.
Here's the thing, right? Stress comes in a lot of forms, and you could, for sure, be stressed and then feel something, and then constitute it to that. So.
Not only that, but we also don't know how Elementers would technically deal with it, too. Like, what if she's doing it to herself without even realizing it?
Yeah. It's a manifestation of herself.
Which, by the way, I don't think is the case. I think this is all real, and obviously she should have, she should have said something. But
From
Yeah.
Ellen's point of view, you're saying.
Mhm.
Basically is, yeah. Alright. So Vin then asks... Oh, sorry, go on.
I mean, you're good. I was gonna say, like, I mean, when you're stressed as a kid, and I don't know if your parent ever told you, that like if you cry enough, you'll make yourself sick.
I don't think
No,
so. I was told
yeah.
that.
I was told that quite a lot, but your brain
I
does a
was
lot of things like that. So
I was told if you keep crying, I'll give you something good to cry about.
yeah, I've heard that one too before. But
I've heard that one.
yeah, I've heard that one before. But yeah, our traumatic past. All right, go on.
So Vin then asks Ellen what he learned from religion about the deepness, and so it was forbidden for Scott to learn of religion. Ellen mentions that even though nobles were allowed to learn religion, it wasn't encouraged. He says that mostly they just taught the nobles that they were favored because of their ancestors, who supported the Lord Ruler before he ascended. Ellen asks why Vin isn't bothered by the fact that nobles had more, and Vin just shrugs and says she doesn't care where nobles got things. She was as long as she was able to steal them. Same with the other thieves stealing from her, not caring where she got her food. Ellen says the philosophy authors that he reads of would be frustrated with her response. So Vin then asks about the deepness again, and Ellen just says that it was some sort of creature that tried to destroy the world, and that there are statues around of it, but that the only true person who would know is dead. Vin mentions she's worried about it coming back, and Ellen says that he hasn't heard of any evil rampaging creature roaming the land. So why do you think there's so little information on the deepness?
Because, I mean, you bury it in history.
To be fair, he had 1,000 years to fucking cover it.
I mean, he definitely didn't defeat it, that's for sure.
And I'm pretty sure, as the Lord Ruler said, every like noble and whatever had like hundreds of years to take care of each other by killing each other, like house wars wipe them out or whatever.
Yeah, he would if they started getting too large in number, he would just let them have a house war, and then they would get their numbers back down, because the whole point was the nobles had a small population and the Ska were a giant population to be the workforce.
Which is exactly why the keepers are hidden, considering that information is so high valued here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the Lord Ruler and the Steel Ministry would pretty much decide what could get out to the public.
Mm-hmm.
Big proud.
So Vin then thinks about how Rashek hadn't given up the power to let it defeat the deepness, and wonders if that means the deepness was never truly defeated. Vin then brings up the color of the plants and sun, and Ellen is confused hearing about the yellow sun and green plants from before the Ascension.
Yeah, why not purple and blue? Yeah.
He says the deepness may have had something to do with that, but isn't sure. Vin then thinks about whether the Well of Ascension is still up north in the mountains. Ellen then asks whether she learned anything from Orisur, and Vin mentions how emotional allomancy doesn't affect Kandra, and how Kandra can't use allomancy. She notes that she can use it to test Ham and Spook, but that normal people will be harder to figure out. Vin also keeps herself from testing Ellen, knowing that she'd rather trust him and be wrong than distrust him. And she kind of has a moment where she's like, oh, I finally kind of understand Kelsier a bit more here.
Kelsier? So you always got to bring it back to Kelsier.
Oh god, that bitch is dead. He's been dead for a whole book.
He's been dead for a year, apparently.
And you're still fucking obsessed about him.
Ellen then mentions...
Midnight, drop it.
Ellen mentions that he doesn't think it's any of the crew members, but Vin thinks that he's too trusting and doesn't know the capabilities of Kandra well enough. Ellen then gives Vin a kiss and leaves. Vin glances over at the window she left partially open in the mist outside, saying aloud that she won't fear it and that she will find its secret. So do you think Ellen and Vin will be able to find the imposter?
I hope so.
I don't know why they're delaying that shit, because at this point I would have gathered them up and I would have fucking started flaring my shit at them.
My question is, why don't they bring Breeze into this right away, considering they're 99% sure he's not the Kandra? I feel like it'd be good to have an extra person who's known these people a lot longer than Vin has.
I was thinking that too, but I was thinking more on the allomantic sort of thing.
The emotional elemency where he's super good with it.
Yeah, but then I was like, nah, Vin, she could do it herself, but she's not doing it herself, which is pissing me the fuck off. So,
but she also has other things. She's constantly on card
what?
and stuff.
Cheating on Ellen with that stupid fucking little.
I just feel like it'd be good to bring Breeze in, and then you have Breeze can test Ham and Spook, and then you can bring them in on it once they're proven.
And the crew's probably gonna interact with each other without her around, so.
Right? You can't be around them 24/7. The biggest issue is going to be Doxin, because Doxin isn't an Allomancer. He's gonna be the hardest to prove from the group.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
You can just influence his emotions, bro.
Well, here's the thing, right? If you removed everybody else, though, it would leave Doxson, and that would be the only person that it could be.
Well, they also say though that like it could be like a servant. Like they're not 100% sure it's gonna be an immediate crew member. It's just the most likely.
I, 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 I can't even, bro. Like this, you guys are like, if they can use allomancy, like they're like, bet, right? Whatever.
Mhm.
I'm thinking more like influence their emotions, like do some shit that will get a reaction,
But yeah, I see what you're saying, Darkness. But they did state the fact that they're also very good at pretending on certain things.
The thing is, if they're influencing their emotions, they know the crew reacts.
Yeah, I feel like you just do like a really strong push because you don't have to be subtle
That's what I'm
about it.
saying. And if they react, they're either gonna react the fact like the way we're like, oh, why the fuck are you doing this to my emotions right now?
Bitch,
Or like
stop.
they're gonna actually like react the way they're supposed to with the emotions. Now, if it's the actual conjure, they won't feel shit. They won't even know they're getting, you know what I mean? Like that's a way to single them out, and I don't know why they're not trying to do it.
Well, I mean, it's the same reason that they didn't do a lot of shit in the first book. So, like, why wouldn't you take the 11th medal and show it to Sage?
Yeah, this stresses me out so much because there's so many ways out, and they're not taking them.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, though, when you have a problem a lot of times in life, you also don't think of some of the ways that other people might think of. So,
But she literally asks for weakness,
bro. Yeah, but we're looking at an outside perspective versus, like them
That's
being
true.
the inside.
It's also
person.
probably only been like an hour or two since she learned about the allomancy stuff at this point.
At this point.
At this point in the chapter, yes. Like I know you're talking about like probably the next chapter and stuff, but at that point I think it's only been like a day.
Not even.
Yeah. So maybe they will Darkness.
Yeah, maybe they will go out there and just start rioting people and see who doesn't.
I would have been done that shit by then.
Anyway, so chapter 15's epigraph is I had determined that Alendi was the hero of ages, and I intended to prove it. I should have bowed before the will of the others. I shouldn't have insisted on traveling with Alendi to witness his journeys. It was inevitable that Alendi himself would find out what I believed him to be. How do you think the fact that like it sounds like Alendi figured out that Quan believed him to be the hero of ages, how do you think that probably affected what Alendi was doing and like his insistence on then being the hero of ages?
I mean, when you think you have a path in life, you try to follow it. So I don't know. I feel like it was a good thing for him to know that you thought that.
Well, the thing is, considering he wasn't the hero of ages, apparently, based on what Quan thinks, like it probably wasn't. Okay. It might not have been the best that he learned.
Well, what if the deepness was fucking with what's his fuck's head?
Quan.
Yeah, whatever.
And
it's
possible.
Was telling him that he wasn't the hero of ages, even though he really is.
So yeah.
Don't know anything about the deepness, so we can't figure that out.
Do you have any other thoughts, Darkness?
I'm just still trying to figure out why the fuck he wrote that shit in metal.
Because the very first epigraph, anything not written in metal cannot be trusted.
Yeah.
But why?
I don't know.
Because metal can be trusted.
It really can't. With all these allomancers and ferrochemists around, I wouldn't have trust this shit in metal. The fuck?
I mean, it probably wouldn't have lasted so long if it hadn't been written in metal.
True. And then I wouldn't have Saze's voice in my ears every time they read one.
So we then have Say's point of view for this chapter, and it's 8 days after he and Marsh had left the conventicle.
And Marsh isn't there.
Yeah, when Say's wakes up, Marsh isn't there. At first, Say's follows
I love this part.
At first, Say's follows the footsteps in the ash, but eventually he loses them and goes back to the camp. He cooks himself some soup, no Marsh. And he washes his traveling robes, no Marsh. He sews a tear on his sleeve, oils his walking boots, and shaves his head, no Marsh. And then he works on the transcription of the rubbing for a bit, no Marsh. So where do you think Marsh went, and do you think he'll be back?
Marsh is dead.
I think Marsh is dead? He like wandered off and just died?
No, I think Marsh killed himself.
Interesting.
I think he couldn't deal with the guilt.
I think Marsh is looking for his brethren.
I think he's looking for the other Inquisitors.
Yeah. He's trying to make a fraternity.
He just wants to party at the conventicle, and they were all gone.
No, but I do feel like he went
to party. Say's kind of a buzzkill.
What do you mean? He has all types of party chicks.
I think like all of those get real old real fast.
I'm sure he does, yeah.
I just thought, imagine like if you were Faircombs in this day and age, and you just like make yourself age up so that you like for like parties so you can like buy alcohol.
I mean, yeah, it would be pretty neat. But here's the other thing I liked because like my life. Um, Later when he uses a thing for his senses or some shit like that,
Hmm.
and he's like, I thought it was really cool where he could like heighten it, and then I was like, oh yeah, it's true. If he takes it away, it would lower it.
Yeah, if you
So
start storing
Yeah.
it.
you're benefiting in either sort. I mean, it's the
Hmm.
same. I feel like a lot of them are like that, which is really cool.
Yeah. I feel like also a like random modern day solution to like being a ferrochemist, the healing one, you can make yourself sick. So you call into
Mm-hmm.
work sounding all stuffed up and horrible, then you can
Bruh,
take the day
Could
off.
that's what you're thinking about?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see another use for being
some
sick.
I mean, at some point though, that also becomes a problem because you kind of need money in today's society.
You got
I
sick
was thinking
days.
more along the like soldier or like police route, where like you make yourself sick and then like you can heal faster if things go wrong like
Yeah.
while you're working. But
Uh,
Well, I mean, we were talking about like good uses of the opposite one. That's just normally storing to use healing as it's intended.
mhm.
I was talking about
Yeah.
using the sickness part of it.
Yeah, like because they both have
but then you could also
unlike Allomancy, they both have it has a benefit for both sides. Yeah, because like Allomancy only has the one it has use. That's it. You don't have anything like that makes it so it's the opposite.
Hmm.
Like if swallowing it made it it made it had an effect itself. Doesn't. I'm still on this big train that the whole Steel Inquisitors are a whole different sect of shit. So
Mm. Also, like
between
the whole weight
Feruchemy
one,
and all that.
I feel like the weight ones also can be like a good like
Oh yeah, make
either
yourself
way.
light
Like
and then make
yeah, like you
yourself
make yourself
heavy
light to like float down, but then you can make yourself heavy to like break down doors or something.
or hold people. Yeah,
Yeah.
hmm just lay on top of somebody and just make your weight fucking heavy as shit. Like I mean, it's I think Feruchemy is just underrated. It's just really
Honestly,
the best.
Ferrochemy, as I've said, like I feel like it's the most useful on like
Hmm
in a real life situation. Ferrochemy would be like the best of any of Sanderson's powers, except like maybe breast, just because then you can like live forever, but it's hard to get a hold of.
Wait, I mean, we already have breasts in real life.
You know what I mean?
Like your breasts do not make you any
Oh
better
my
than anybody else
gosh.
here. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, so Sazed eventually leaves, feeling an urgency to show what he had found and see Vin and Elend. He thinks
I
that
mean, I feel
Marsh.
like it only help you on OnlyFans. So
Wow. He thinks that Marsh will eventually catch up. We then skip some time to Sazed overlooking the village of. I don't know. I'm not 100% how to say this name. Urbine? Do you remember how they said it in the audiobook Mythic?
I don't.
Okay.
What chapter are we on, real quick?
Chapter 15.
Is this like? Do you know how far in we
It's
are right
like
now?
pretty close to the beginning. It's literally just like
Beginning. Okay, give me
the
a
name
second.
of the
You can keep going, and
town.
I'll find it.
Yeah, which he learns about from his geography coppermind. He notes that taking memories out of his coppermind causes them to degrade, and eventually he'll have to rememorize the contents of his copperminds. He also has a second set of copperminds hidden up in Terra so he can pass on knowledge, whereas his current copperminds are for daily use. So what did you think about this information about copperminds, about how they degrade, and how he has like that second set for like?
I like it. It's such a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was thinking the same thing. I was like, that's just insane that you have like knowledge that just you can continuously tap into. Like you've never forget anything. I like that there was a downside to continuously like trying them. I
Mm-hmm.
also like the fact that he has like duplicates of each thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty neat too. All right,
Yeah.
you said 15, correct?
Yeah. Chapter 15. It's like pretty
Right on start.
quickly. Yeah. It's
Can you say what you thought it was again?
urban or urbine.
Okay.
What did you think, Darkness, about the copperminds information?
I think I'm not entirely used to
Wait,
them,
is
so
this the
they're a
city
little
name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, go
so they're
ahead.
a little hard to keep up with in my opinion. I just it's something I'm gonna have to like think things through and see more of in order to
Yeah. I don't know. I
like
feel
I
like the
mean
copperminds are like super cool.
yeah, I mean like Faircami in general is cool.
Yeah.
Or Bene.
Or Bene. Okay.
That's how it said. Or Bene.
Or Bene. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. That
Yeah.
was not
Or
one of the options I would have thought it was.
Yeah, and, I mean, I don't see what they're spelled like, so
It's Urbene.
it's still kind of I can see it the way he says it.
Yeah.
Even though the way his pronunciation, it sounds like it's or Bene, but I can
Mm.
see it. No, it could be Bene, with
Yeah.
a U.
it's
Yeah.
Urbine.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said before, and apparently he said as well, like the names in this can be interpreted any way you want.
Yeah, Sanderson always says like you can pretty much pronounce names
Mhm.
any way you want because it's a fantasy book.
Yep.
He's like,
But
there's
yeah,
my preferred way, and there's like the way the audiobooks say
yeah.
it, but like
I'm hoping
technically,
I'm hoping the audiobooks are going by his preferred way.
I
But I
believe they
mean,
are because they call Kelsier, right?
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because he says like yeah, Kelsier is his preferred way of saying it, but technically based on the fact that it's based on French, it should be Kelsier. But
Mhm.
he likes the way
Yeah,
Kelsier sounds.
that's definitely Kelsier was.
If, imagine he gets a hold of how I call everyone.
Oh my god, just send Brandon a list of
A
like,
list.
oh
I
my god,
mean,
if we ever get like really dedicated fans, we need someone to go through and like get all of your weird pronunciations for names and make them into like a compilation.
I could do that.
Oh my
I'm not a
gosh.
dedicated fan or anything, but I could do that.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so Sage goes down towards, or Bene.
Wait, he's
Uh,
going down?
or sorry, he goes
On who?
Yeah, I
towards
know, right?
Sage.
Who is he going down on?
Oh my gosh. He notes that there's goats wandering around by themselves. He finds this odd and
Oh.
quickens his pace, noticing no activity in the village, and then eventually smelling the scent of rotting bodies. Even
Mhm.
as he gets even closer, he begins to smell human waste as well, and begins filling his tin mine so that his sense of smell is dulled. Which yeah,
Which
I
is
agree is like
such a great, like, so good. I mean, I live with that, first off, where I am always I have, like, no sense of smell,
yeah. I have a
so
friend who also has like an issue with their sense of smell where they can like barely smell anything unless it's
I
like super
smell
strong.
blood.
I can literally not smell anything.
Damn.
We've tried, believe me. Some of
Mhm.
the
I'm the opposite.
worst things
Yeah,
you
I've
can
got
think
really
of.
sensitive smell too, Darkness. Anyways, so once he gets to the hovels, he sees bodies piled up outside the doors, at least half a
Mhm.
dozen outside each door. Sazed could find no cause of death and know that the bodies were at least several days old. He opens the door to one of the hovels, and even his dulled sense of smell couldn't completely hide the strong scent that was inside. He
Which
sees,
is crazy.
yeah, he sees bodies huddled in corners and against walls, covered in thin blankets and obviously dead from starvation and dehydration. Sazed goes from hovel to hovel, seeing the same sights as the first, one even having gnawed human bones inside. None of the bodies had wounds. Sayus feels he must be wrong about how they died, as they seem to have plenty of food. He thinks that there may possibly have been a plague and the survivors fled without taking anything with them. So, before you had read any further, what did you think was happening to these people?
The deepness.
Yeah.
I still think that even after we know what.
Me
Yeah,
too.
I
Me
know.
too.
I mean, we get a more specific thing, but I was just saying, like,
Yeah.
before
I
we
mean,
knew more specifically what happened.
yeah, but like that's literally what I thought, and
My
still think.
my thought process was like, okay, if it's something like deepness related, I know there's like missed correlation to that. I was also thinking like, what if it's like the fucking shape that Vin is seeing or whatever, and
Hmm.
if they're stabbing people and shit,
You think you would see
like
wounds, though, if
no, but I was thinking like, did they say that they saw a wound?
I think
No.
it says that the Mistspirit uses like an actual dagger
Hmm.
Oh,
in the
an
logbook.
actual one.
Yeah,
Like yeah,
Okay,
like
I didn't.
the spirit picks up a dagger and stabs a guy.
Okay, that I didn't know. I thought it was like
I'm
a
pretty sure that it's not like a mist dagger. It's like an actual dagger that he
really.
stabs the guy with.
I
I
thought
thought
they
it was a
said.
mist dagger too. To be
Isn't
Yeah,
it?
honest,
I thought they said
What?
it shaped the form of a dagger or whatever.
I thought they said
yeah,
he
that's
picked
just
up a dagger and
absolutely.
stabbed him.
I mean, it's possible,
Because I thought
yeah.
that's how Alendi says he knows that the mist spirit can touch things. Is he's like, oh shit, it can pick up a dagger.
I thought it was because he stabbed someone and by
I
doing
don't
that
know.
he touched them.
It could be either. I might be wrong. I apologize if I'm wrong.
But
I
I
mean,
was
either
going
way, I mean, you were wrong about fucking, uh,
Electrum.
a
the
metal.
middle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
we both thought about that. But no, but I was going along the fact that like maybe like they shaped it or whatever and they were able to like stab. If that's the case, I don't think there would be like
A wound.
yeah, and it would be more like oh they're dying because
Mm.
they stabbed
Mhm.
something not like how do you say that? It's gonna get fucked up because of my accent, but like corporeal.
Oh, corporeal?
Corporeal.
There you
Corporeal.
go.
Yeah, that's not gonna get fucked up because your accent. It's fucked up because you just don't know that word.
I do know it. I just don't know how to say it in English.
Can you say the opposite of that?
Was tangible?
Okay, just making sure you could say it.
um,
I thought you were gonna say tangerine or something. Yeah.
So then Sayst hears a noise. He uses his tin mind to enhance his hearing and hurries into the hovel with the gnawed human bones and finds a single man alive. He places a hand on the shoulder of the man, and the man's eyes snap open. Sayst says he has a friend and has food, but the man says they ate all the food except for the food, and glances at the gnawed bones. The man states that the mist had come during the day and had stayed for weeks. Sayst is so shocked he swears by the Lord Ruler's name in his head. He doesn't understand how the fear, the scoff, feel of the mist could cause them to stay until they starved, though. The man then explains that the mist killed people who tried to go outside, although some survived and tried to call to them to come out as well. So, first of all, what are your thoughts on the mist staying for so long without dissipating during the day?
Well, it's the cause. Is what I thought. Like, like it's part of like either an effect of it happening, or it's the cause of it happening, which we didn't know by the time. By that time.
Anyways, Mythic, what do you think about the mist staying for like weeks?
Okay, so it's a theory I have,
Mhm.
right? That if let's say we're right that Rashek didn't actually kill Alendi and he like imprisoned him or something, right?
Mhm.
Maybe because Alendi is actually a bad person.
Mm.
Actually, I 100% started to believe that line of thought when he's what's that dude's name? The dude that's now
Quan?
writing the fucking things.
Quan.
Yeah, when Quan was talking about how like he seems to, I don't know, he just seems like he's talking about him as if he was like almost a bad person. A lot of times, like he convinced people to believe that he was this chosen person and all that. And then it made me think, okay, well maybe Rashek then also is a not the best of people, but like was a better person, you know. And then if he imprisoned him, like he couldn't kill him for some reason, and he imprisoned him, maybe now Alendi is trying to like like fight back, and without the Lord Ruler or Rashek there to like stop him, he's able to like manipulate the mist and shit. And that made me think about the whole thing of maybe he manipulates the mist so that he can see Vin as well. So
Interesting.
I think it's Alendi. It's basically short version, long. Yeah. I think Alendi's somehow manipulating the mist to kill people.
Okay.
Or actually, I think my real thought was that he's trying to manipulate the mist in order to create like a body or something for himself to release him from whatever the binds are. Like he's trying to find a worthy body that he can possess for however long to basically come get him wherever he is imprisoned at.
Yeah. So my next question was, what do you think about how many people were being killed by the mist? Because there was like at least half a dozen bodies, they say, at each doorway.
Well, I mean, the mist is big, so it wouldn't be that hard to kill a bunch of people.
Do you think there was a reason that some people died and some people didn't?
Yeah, they tried to take him over, and they weren't worthy of the mist, kind of idea. Like, he's like either he's trying to find a body or he needs to kill a bunch of people until he gets I don't know, a blood sacrifice thing going or something.
What do you think, Darkness?
I mean, darkness. So okay.
I don't know. Is this? I'm wondering if this whole time that there's been like dead bodies and this happening, like ever since we first saw it in the beginning, I was wondering what the like common thing they have is. And it seems to be happening only to Ska so far that we know of. So like, what's considered like?
Is that true?
Well, we've only seen two instances now. We've seen the one guy at the other village when Marsh picked him up, and now we've seen like a whole bunch of people at this village. We've not seen any other incidences, and I don't think there were nobles in either of the villages, so we don't know if it's like just targeted specific villages and they just happen to all be Ska, or if.
Well, to be fair, we don't even see this happening or any sort of mention of it in like Luthadel or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's only happened in like these two towns as far as we're aware so far.
Okay, wait. How close are the towns to the city?
I think we should be able to find them on the map. So there's Luthadel. Should show somewhere.
Do you remember what the first town was called?
I don't.
I'm just wondering if it's like it's starting from a point, like it's like,
Let me see if I can find it.
Wonder if it's getting closer and closer to the city. Is all.
It was a Sage chapter. I think it was like in the first episode. In the Eastern Dominance. I think they just say it's in the Eastern Dominance. I don't see anything about the name of the town. But
Gotcha.
both were in the Eastern Dominance, because he was still in the Eastern Dominance, I believe.
Gotcha. I was just wondering if it was like, like a town was one town was further out, this town was getting closer to the city, kind of idea,
Mm-hmm.
or vice versa. Either way, like because this could have been because the other one was more like it only attacked one person, and then this was like it attacked an entire town. So it could be that it's ramp, it started here and got as it was getting further, you're only seeing the small effects at the moment until it gets more powerful as it gets closer. Kind of
Okay,
idea if
so
it was
the
to do so.
map does have the Conventicle of Saran and Urban on it, but I don't.
Mm-hmm.
There's another town kind of
Does it have
close.
the Well of Ascension on it?
No, the Well of Ascension I don't believe is
Oh,
on.
okay, because that's where I think he's at. I think he was imprisoned in the Well of Ascension.
The Well of Ascension, based on what we know about it, would be in the Terrace Dominance, which is in the north. Which
I
Urban and
saw
the
those
Conventicle
mountains.
are
Or
like
in the south.
they're pretty much south, even though they're technically in the Eastern
Oh,
Dominance. They're very far
interesting.
away.
Interesting. Okay.
It's like basically on the opposite side of the map.
Mm, gotcha.
Which
Okay.
honestly kind of makes sense that they're getting attacked first.
You think it's like making its way to the well or something?
Yeah, because
Yeah, that would make
the
sense. Yeah.
considering the fact that the Well of Ascension is quote unquote what's supposed to help the fucking
The
what's his
deepness,
name?
stop the deepness. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So you think
supposed to
maybe
help
he was
stop
like
the deepness.
trapped like on the opposite end of the continent, and then he's
or he's not
escaping.
even going off my thought, and he's gonna.
Yeah,
he's saying
I was gonna.
the
I
deepness
was.
is moving its way upwards to try to get to the Well of Ascension.
Yeah, that's what I was
You know,
trying to.
instead of what I'm thinking of, like the deepness, like him controlling the deepness or something to that extent. Instead of that, he's saying like the deepness is its own entity.
Yeah.
Okay. So suddenly the man grabs a rotting arm to eat, but stops and drops it when Seize touches the man's arm. Apparently he's been cannibalizing the dead corpses, which is how he's the only one alive. Great.
I
Seize,
mean, wouldn't you?
I don't think so. I
if
think
you
I
would-
would have
if you
probably
couldn't go
tried to
outside-
escape.
And you would have been one of those
I'll be
dead
right
ass.
back.
I would have either been one of the people who died or one of the people who ran off.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Not with those short ass legs.
Well, I mean, if you're not dying to the mist, I can run off without being fast.
You're like as long as I'm faster than someone else, I'm fine.
So Seize goes to leave, but then decides to tap his pewter mind and forces the man outside. Once outside and not in the mist, the man scrambles off down the path. Seize then grabs his pack and puts on his steel mind so that he can run very quickly, as he feels he needs to get to Luthadel. So what do you think will happen when Seize comes back to Luthadel with this information?
Well, Vin is definitely gonna get interesting considering the things she's been experiencing with the Mist.
Yeah, because she already says she thinks the mists are coming earlier.
I hope she tells Ellen, and maybe it'll spark a little quest, to the Well of Ascension.
The book is called The Well of Ascension. Who knows?
No way. I thought it was Mistborn.
So what do you think will happen when Seize comes back to Luthadel with his information?
Well, hopefully he sees this chick that said that she came because of him, and realizes that's not, and they all realize it's not somebody that he knows.
What if it is someone he knows?
Well, it's still a possibility that it could be a conjurer, but
They're gonna get married.
no.
We're going to chapter 16. So the epigraph is, yes, he was the one who fueled the rumors after that. I could never have done what he did, convincing and persuading the world that he was indeed the hero. I don't know if he believed it, but he made others think that he must be the one. So why do you think Alendi went around trying to get people to believe he was the hero of ages?
He's a bad person. He wanted to find the Will of Ascension for his own gains.
I believe that he believed that he was the actual.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Darkness. I think he literally was going around being like, "Hey guys, did you hear? I'm the hero. I'm the hero here to help you." And like I think at some point, he believed himself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
I mean, based on the logbook, he did believe that he was the hero of ages.
Yep. But he could. I mean, you can write anything in a logbook. So.
I mean, why would you lie to yourself in a logbook?
Don't trust things that aren't
the same reason you lie to yourself to make sure that you know.
That's true, Darkness. We shouldn't trust things that aren't written in metal.
Mm-hmm.
So we start the chapter with Vin
I like how Darkness is the one that brought that up, though.
So we start the chapter with Vin on the floor of her quarters with the pages of the Hero of Ages logbook all over the floor. She was piling the pages into stacks based on the content. Oriser is in the room as well, watching while being bored and stating that he wishes to know what is happening around him. Finn reminds Oriser that this is the logbook of the Hero of Ages, whom Rashik killed to become the Lord Ruler. She's like, don't you remember? Fucking the book we got? Oriser asks what she's looking for in the pages since the
No,
Lord
I have
Ruler...
a dog brain, you dimwit.
She asks...
I'm sorry, but I would have paid anything to see him just bark back at her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Don't you remember? Woof.
Oriser asks what she's looking for in the pages since the Lord Ruler is dead, and Vin thinks to herself that she's looking for mentions of the Mist Spirit. Vin had been making piles of anything supernatural in the logbook, noting that mainly she had a pile for the deepness and for the Mist Spirit. Vin just
Bet
wishes...
she's got a pile in the deepness.
Finn just wishes that the author had been more specific about what exactly the deepness was. As Finn reads, she thinks about where she had been when first reading the logbook. She also wonders if being under the Lord Ruler's control may have somehow been preferable to what may be out there now. So do you agree that it may have been better to be under the Lord Ruler's control?
Yep. Mm-hmm. I feel like whatever he was doing, it is keeping them, alive. And they're about to be in a very big world of trouble.
What do you think, Darkness?
Nah. Like, the deepness is meant to come, you know?
Oh, okay. So you're on the deepness side here. Oh.
Yeah, maybe it'll wipe out all these ska.
Deepness, darkness.
I think it's gonna wipe out everyone. At this point,
at this point, I'm okay with that. This world is fucked generally, bro.
Yeah. Burn it and renew. Yeah, I agree.
In the name of deepness.
Mm-hmm.
So Vin then reads the section where the author states that he must not think of himself as mad, and that because the man who was stabbed also saw the creature, he knew it was real. Vin then decides she must do the same and assume the creature is real and she isn't hallucinating due to stress. We then switch to Ellen's point of view.
Wait, was that a thought? Was that a thought in her head?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because Ellen was like, "Oh, you're just hallucinating due to stress," and she's like, "No. There's proof in here, and I felt it."
You're just hallucinating because of us having sex, and you now have a kid.
Oh my God.
I feel like if she put effort into explaining everything that was happening accurately,
like going through the logbook, talking about him touching her,
instead of just like, oh, like I think I'm seeing things, like, girl, like no wonder he thinks you're crazy.
Finn's not the best communicator, let's be honest.
And she was meant to be queen? Yeah, sure. Anyway.
We switch to Ellen's point of view as he looks out from Luthadel's wall at the armies. He notes that Straff is holding a canal to the north that heads to his hometown, and Set is holding a canal to the west which leads to the town with the canneries. He watches as the two armies scout to take more canals and make bridges over the main river. The siege had truly begun. Clubs then comes up to the wall to join Ellen, mentioning that everything is going to fall on him. Ellen then asks if he's a good king, and Clubs truthfully states that he has seen men who would do a worse job, but he's also seen men that would do a much better job. Ellen replies that he wants to be a good leader, and Clubs responds that usually there's an event that makes someone a good leader. For Kelsier, that had been the Pits of Hathin, as before that he had been incredibly selfish and stuff like that, I think he says. So do you think Ellen will be able to become a good king?
I mean, yeah, if he lives long enough.
I was wondering, so he thinks what makes a good leader or whatever is someone who goes through their own event, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, like, the book is called Well of Ascension, you know? What if it's like him going, you know?
I mean, I already have a theory that Ellen at some point becomes an Allomancer, so
I'm just rooting for him to go and get powers, bro, too.
Yeah, I feel like it's been somewhat like foreshadowed that he's going to, simply for the fact that like a lot of times he's like, oh man, Vince, I wish I had at least just a misting power. Yeah. And at some point he's just gonna be like fucking Mistborn and see the fucking problems with it and shit,
So Clubs mentions that Tindwyl is wanting to speak to Ellen, and Clubs asks if she's trustworthy, and Ellen says they've had her checked out, and also thinks to himself that she can't be the Conjuror since she uses feruchemy, which I don't know if we've actually had proven or if that happened off screen, that like her being able to use feruchemy means she's not a Conjuror, because they've only specified allomancy to us before this.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking too. I mean,
anyways,
maybe they stated it. I don't know.
They definitely didn't state it before this, unless they So that's why I'm saying unless it's like off
No,
page.
that's yeah. I'm saying like
Yeah.
maybe her asking about allomancy was just like her actually asking in general about all of it. But
Yeah.
that would also then I guess mean that
Tyndall
Steel
isn't.
Inquisitor or yeah, and that Steel Inquisitors can't be because that was my other option. My other idea was that maybe Marsh was taken, but
Hmm.
I feel like if that was true, well, maybe not. I guess they could have taken the fucking spikes too if they could do that. I'd say you'd see spikes in the skull or whatever, but
Uh, so we then skip to Ellen being back at Keep Venture with Tyndall. Tyndall states that they'll be doing something about his clothing since it's disgraceful. Ellen tries to argue this, but Tyndall cuts him off, saying, "Kings don't argue, they command." Tyndall has the seamstress take out a white military uniform, stating that his attire should reflect his current position, and they are currently at war. The uniform has straight white trousers, a shirt, and a white military jacket with wooden buttons and a crest of an arrow or spear. He also has a belt for a dueling cane, black boots, and a white cape. Tyndall then has Ellen sit down to have his hair cut. He doesn't want that and states
no.
states that they won't be cutting his hair. He then gets up to look at himself in the mirror before agreeing that his hair does look out of place with this new uniform and allows them to cut it shorter. So the last piece was a silver painted wooden crown that Tyndall states Ellen must wear at all times. Tyndall states that she has 6 identical uniforms for him to wear and that he will wear nothing else. However, he is allowed to change the color of the cape if he wishes. So what did you think of Ellen's new kingly look?
So I was pissed off because you don't touch the hair, bro. You don't.
He let her touch
You
the
know?
hair.
You don't cut the hair.
I mean, I agree with you, Darkness, mainly because like I'm also a long hair connoisseur, but I like having long hair, and nobody makes me cut my hair, even if it was like, oh, this doesn't go with the outfit. Get a new outfit. Fuck that shit.
It's more of like to me it feels like he's throwing all that shit, like all the stuff that he's low-key like made himself, him
Mm.
He's throwing it away
because
to
of
become
her.
king.
Like no, it's
Become
because
king.
of her.
No, she's not wrong. Okay, like she
You're
does need to
telling me that
look
there can't be a
presentable.
king with long hair?
I'm not saying there can't be. I'm saying that it makes you look more presentable if you have shorter hair, especially in a military like a military type thing. Like that's why in military they cut your hair. Your hair is short in the military because it looks presentable.
Also, it can't get in your eyes during battle.
Yeah, I mean,
You act like you can't tie it.
I mean, you can, but still, it's
it's still
easier to have
it's
it
still
short.
it's still somebody could grab that. So
Grab it, you can, yeah.
yeah.
What's he gonna be doing? Fighting Mistborns and shit? Like
I
no.
mean,
And I'm pretty sure if you're good enough, you'd be able to fight around it.
sure. I mean, I liked when he walks in later and Vin's like, "Can I cut my hair now too?"
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was like, "Yes, please do."
I mean, he's like, if you want to.
And it's funny because I prefer her with short hair and not him.
I mean, I don't prefer him over Zane anyways. So Zane is daddy. So
Oh my gosh. Should have left you guys thinking he looked like an old man.
yes,
I
you
never
should have.
thought he looked like an old
Zane
man.
is
Zane's a fucking
daddy.
creep, dude.
I mean, you know more things about it later than we do, I'm sure. Because I mean, yes, he's a creep, but like he's a creep like any other creep I've known that could just be misunderstood.
They don't
so.
love you, Vin. They don't understand you.
Yeah.
No, like I do.
Because tonight
I
will be
mean,
the night.
I mean, think about it though. Think about it from his perspective. It's not wrong.
That's true.
They do not understand her.
He doesn't
Not
know
what,
anything about her.
but
Besides
not
the fact that she's
anyone.
a Mistborn.
Okay, so that
Okay.
even just with that by itself, nobody understands because nobody else in this group is a Mistborn, and he is a Mistborn, so he would understand that.
But that's the only part of her he understands.
Okay, but that's what our strangers are meant to do. They're meant to know each other. Like, to get to know each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's literally giving her the opportunity. Like,
I'd rather her be with Spook than with Zane.
Oh, okay. I agree with you on that, 100%. Vin and Spook forever.
I feel like that's a little bit of future knowledge talking.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like she knows some more things than we don't. But I definitely think Spook would be a better option.
Anyways.
Spook overall.
So Ellen thanks Tyndall, but she tells him he's a fool if he thinks that's it. She says he will need to go through a lot of training before she trusts him to not embarrass himself in front of people. Ellen asks what she is going to teach him, and she replies that she is going to teach him how to walk, his speech patterns, and his fighting skills. She does not want him training in public, though, and says she'll get him a dueling master. Ellen mentions that she looks down on him like he's a placeholder, and she gives him a look like that's exactly what she's thinking, but he said it. Before he can respond again...
You said it.
Before he can respond again, Captain Demoe comes in. Demoe is thrown off by Ellen's new look, but is able to get out his message that a messenger from Straff's camp is here to talk. Ellen asks about Vin, and Demoe states that she's in her quarters. Before Ellen leaves, he states that he's going to do more than fake being a king. He then king. He then asks
who is he akin to?
He then asks what Tyndall considers a good king, and Tyndall states that a good king is someone that is trusted by his people and deserves that trust. So do you agree with Tyndall's statement about what makes a good king?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with her. I don't think she's a good person, but I agree with her.
I mean, she's not saying she would be a good king. She's just saying she knows what makes a good king.
I mean, like, I think she's a backstabbing person, you know, and she's teaching him how to be a good king, and then she's going to do something that, you know, ruins all that. But, you know, or she's getting him dependent on her, and then, you know, going to drop him all of a sudden.
What do you think, Darkness? Do you think she's right about what makes a good king?
I think there's a hell of a lot more to that than just, you know, trust, but okay.
All right, I have a question real quick. Did it clearly state that she was using Farrakami, or did they just believe she's using Farrakami?
Well, she broke out of her binds.
The breaking, how easily she broke out of her binds, and also the fact that she could hear Vin. And hear through the stone wall about what they were talking about. Because
the reason I'm asking is because, like, so he, Orseer put a fucking voice box in a dog, right? Mm-hmm. Could a conjurer not put, like, strength, you know, like a strength aspect
like
into themselves? Yeah, like, and like make it look like they're not as muscular, but like be muscular.
I don't think he could enhance her sense of hearing though, because like,
I mean, dogs have a higher sense of hearing. He
was saying that he's never done that before for like a human body. It sounds like, because he was like, oh, I'm surprised how good they can hear and smell.
But that's the thing, though, right? So like, but they could. If he could take a voice box from a person and put it into a fucking dog, wouldn't it be the same concept reversed?
It's possible. We'd have to, I guess. Yeah, I guess they'd have to get more, but Ellen seems pretty convinced that she's definitely a ferrochemist.
Gotcha. I was just curious because, you know,
we don't know much.
Trying to make her the bad person.
We just still don't know too much about how the Conjurer like technically create their bodies. We know that they can't replicate bones, but they can replicate like flesh and organs and stuff. It sounds like, but they can't replicate like hair very well. Like there's like certain limitations. It sounds like to what they can create versus what they have to consume from the body.
Yeah, but if I gave you like, you know, 7 different bodies, you could probably Frankenstein them, right?
Possibly.
You know? If I gave you like a gorilla, a fucking human being, a dog, and like, you know, I don't know, some other shit like that, put it all together, you could probably like Frankenstein something together.
I mean, that's kind of what the mysteries do.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you could probably Frankenstein them together enough that you would look a specific way too.
Yeah, I as I said, we don't know. I think at this point enough about how the Conjure actually work.
If I was a conjurer, I'd be doing that shit all the time. Like, I would be testing everything. Like, what if I took this?
I just imagine midget. Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm like 6 fucking foot, right? Damn. I'm a midget. If I'm a midget, what does that make you, short shit?
Midnight? I don't think you should be laughing, Midnight.
Midnight's the midget for sure.
I'm not.
She's only like
I'm perfectly average height in some countries.
She's only 2 inches off from being a midget.
I'm not even gonna try anymore. Y'all just forget I said anything.
No, say what you were gonna say.
But you're gonna imagine I did what now?
You're just like floating around, just eating shit all over the place, bro.
Yeah, and then becoming the best person I could be. Hell yeah. Hell, they have fucking wars all the time. Apparently, wait, like these things live for a long time, right?
Eat a crocodile.
I don't think we know how long.
Oh my god. Oh, what if I want to eat a kakarot now?
The Koloss?
Kakarot.
Everyone's gonna be so confused listening to our fucking podcast.
Yeah, because we haven't even gotten to them yet.
Yeah, they don't even know, bro. They don't even know yet.
Anyways, so chapter 17, our final chapter and our final epigraph for this episode. If only the terrorist religion and belief in the anticipation hadn't spread beyond our people. So, what do you think the actual belief in the anticipation is? Because we've kind of gotten hints that, like, oh, there's going to be a hero of ages, but we don't really know what their actual, like, prophecy / religion was.
Was there a question?
Yeah, what was the
what
question?
do you think the belief in the anticipation is? What do you think their, like,
What?
actual belief was?
Like they're yearning for salvation from the deep, no? The deepness.
Well, no, they say, I believe, in the logbook or in the beginning of Juan's stuff here that, like, don't they say that oh, I'm worried I'm gonna, like, give away stuff from future epigraphs now.
You probably will.
I won't say anything. Never mind. I don't know if
What?
it's from a future.
You
I don't know if
can't
it's from a
just tease us.
future
You
past
can't just
epigraph.
tease us with that? Like what?
Okay. I thought that it had been said that they were looking for they were desperate to get the hero of ages because of the deepness, and not that we weren't actually sure if the deepness was actually related to it or not.
So the deepness was already
A thing beforehand, and then they're looking for this because they need the salvation. Yeah, salvation.
which is technically what I said.
Yeah, technically.
Open for interpretation, you know?
Mm. Hey, darkness.
Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
Our final chapter. So we start this chapter with Vin still in her quarters working on the pages from the logbook.
It's gonna be even worse for you, darkness, because Squash is gonna do it now too.
Oh god. Okay. Well, anyway.
She has a bunch of piles of paper and realizes she is unfortunately going to have to take notes. She takes a pen, ink, and some paper from her writing desk before going back to her spot on the floor. Oracer seems confused as
Why
to
are you on the floor?
Yeah, he's like, why are you on the floor? You have a writing desk. Writing desks
I
are
thought
made
the
for
same
writing.
thing. Before I even heard him say it, I was like, why did she go to the floor? She specifically states she has a writing.
Yeah, and so he makes a joke that, like, he's like, if she's like, oh, I'd have to move all the paper. He's like, well, you could always burn pewter if the stacks of paper are too fucking heavy for you.
I was just thinking along the same process of like her, where like there's papers on the desk. I don't want to move that.
I feel like I would also just be on the floor being like, no, I need to just, like, everything's already laid out exactly how I want it. I need to be right here.
Exactly.
On the
like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess it up.
Exactly. I'm in my zone
messed up with somebody walking in.
It's her quarters. People shouldn't be just walking in and messing shit up.
Right.
Ellen?
Yeah, but I think usually she goes to his quarters unless, because he says, like, she's never in her quarters.
Also, yeah, she could just, you know.
Isn't her quarters where they found the dead body?
Yeah.
No, it was?
Not the second one. The bones of the person Oriser was previously.
Oh yeah,
they found the first set, and then they were looking for. Then they checked with like dogs and found the second set hidden. Yeah, I think there are maids that go in and clean.
It was hidden where though?
In a closet.
Well, she hid them in the basket
in her room. Yeah.
Well, no, not the second set. The second set wasn't in her room.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought.
No, the first set. No, they searched the whole keep, I believe, and found
it was the hallway.
No, it was a closet, I believe, in an empty room.
Okay, that's why I was more confused because.
Yeah,
I thought it was in the same room that.
No, it wasn't in the same room. I'm pretty sure it was in like some other section of the castle, in like an empty room.
Okay. I just loved that they were like when they were like, hey, we found these bones in a basket, and they're like, yeah, that's ours.
And they're like, but what about are the second set of bones also yours? And they're like, excuse me, what other bones?
Yeah. But I like the nonchalant, like, yeah, those are ours.
Yeah, no, don't worry about that. Demo's like, okay,
not gonna explain. Just, you know.
She's like, yeah. At that time, she was like, I wonder what Demo even thinks of me. Just having random bones.
I mean, maybe you're having a bone party, you know.
Because as a Ska, he probably doesn't know about Kandra.
I mean, catching boners all over the place.
Anyways, so yeah, he makes a joke about the pewter, and Vin, however, stays on the floor and begins slowly writing so that the ink doesn't smudge. She also has to sound out some words to make sure she writes them correctly. So were you surprised that Oriser made a joke? It's not usually the type of joke.
I didn't know it was a joke. I thought he was actually saying that.
Well, he said it, but he was definitely like kind of like teasing her, being like, "You could always just use pewter to fucking lift the pages."
I mean, from the way that I was listening to it, I mean, he sounds the same no matter what he says. But still, like, it doesn't seem to change his tone.
It's definitely a bit of a joke.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a joke. I think he just actually wanted to tell her, hey, if it's too heavy, just use pewter.
It's like the annoying fucking reminders in games when you're trying to do shit. You
Right?
know, like in the bottom or like some shit. It's like, remember, you can press this button to do this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yes, thank you. But I'm going to do it
Thank
this
you.
way.
I totally had no idea that I could do that for the 7th time that you
yeah.
told me. Yeah.
So Ellen comes into the room, and Vin, upon seeing him for a moment, thinks he's someone else and leaps to her feet before calming herself down. Ellen chuckles as Vin examines his new outfit, knowing that his shorter hair will keep people from being able to grab it in a fight, and likes that his cape pulls off easily. Vin then asks if she can cut her hair, and
Ellen, huh?
Ellen replies that she can do whatever she likes, but that he likes it longer, and Vin kind of thinks to herself, well, I'm going to keep it long then if he likes it. Ellen then is about to tell her.
So dumb. Don't do what a man says.
I mean,
A man said it.
Okay, but I feel like she's doing it less because he told her, and more because she likes that. Like he likes.
Yeah, and I feel like she maybe doesn't like care as much either way. She's like, I'd kind of like it short, but also I don't mind it being long. But if he likes it this way, I like that he thinks I'm pretty.
Yeah, exactly.
But why are you doing things based on a man? Like, come on.
I mean, Jesus sometimes cuts his hair the way I like it.
Well, that's different. Okay, that's different. First off, because Jesus is not an independent woman. All right.
I would base my hair slightly around what he would like too.
When?
I mean, I haven't had to, but I would if he asked me.
But when? When would you do that?
Yeah.
I've worn certain outfits because he prefers them on
That's
date nights.
Different.
Exactly. That's
it's
different.
Not different.
It's not a permanent change.
Changing your hair is.
I've bought clothing because I knew he would like it for date nights.
That's still
you wear clothing like
it's not that
every day. Are you wearing that same clothing every day? Are you wearing the same clothes every single day?
No, but I don't think it's still
Are
taking.
you wearing your hair every
into
single day?
consideration what your partner likes, and if you're willing to do that, I don't see it as being an issue.
I feel like
you don't have to.
She's conforming to a man.
Oh my god.
Terrible.
To be fair, if she didn't like it, she could just like fuck him
I'm pretty sure if she hated it, she would just cut it. That's why she asked his opinion.
I don't know. I feel like she's hindering herself by a man, but okay.
Anyways.
Okay, she's about to hinder herself by another man too.
I know. I know when Zane comes to the picture.
Oh gosh. Anyways, so
what if he's like, I like girls with short hair?
Yeah, and she cuts her hair. Oh.
So Ellen is about to tell her about the messenger when he notices that she was doing research. He excitedly reaches for the paper where she had begun writing and compliments her penmanship. Vin asks Ellen about the messenger, and he says it's from Straff's camp and that they should go meet with him. Vin gestures for Oyster to join them, and as soon as they make it down to the atrium, Vin stops Ellen from moving farther forward as she immediately recognizes the messenger as the Watcher. So what were your first thoughts when you read this? Were you surprised that the Watcher works for Straff?
No, not
I
at
don't
all.
think he works for Straff.
He does, though. He said it.
But he says he's literally like above being a slave for someone.
But he still did say that he works for Straff.
Yeah, but I don't think it's like a thing. I think it's like under a guise, you know what I mean?
You think he's like working for him, but like he's not actually like aligned with him. He's like, I'd leave when it suits me.
I feel like he's benefiting from being there for a reason that we don't know yet. But he's not trying to be like, oh, like this my master had a.
Maybe that's where he gets ATM from.
Yeah, maybe.
I will work for you as long as you keep providing me with ATM.
It's like and he's just like, I don't understand why.
Yeah, that's what I meant. He's just another conjurer.
Working for that ATM.
I'm just saying, I would have Conja, I would have Mistborn, I would have everyone on my ass if I was there. I had all the ATM.
Okay.
So Vin warns Ellen that the messenger is a Mistborn, and Ellen nods before speaking to the messenger, asking about his message. The Watcher, who we learn is named Zane, replies that he is an ambassador and states that Ellen's father is glad that he is finally seeing reason. Ellen says he needs to meet with his father to discuss possibilities, and Zane states that Ellen's father has regretted their falling out, which I don't fucking believe for a second. Ellen
What? What do you mean? He's like the best father.
Oh yeah, for
Like, he's the best one we've
sure.
met. Like this,
Uh-huh.
we've met so many fathers in all these books, and he's definitely the best one.
Actually,
Uh-huh.
you know what? You're not that wrong, because at least he's fucking here, you know?
Yeah, exactly. He didn't send Ellen away. He went away himself.
For real.
He's like, Ellen, you can keep the city for all the time being. I'll be
I mean,
back. I'm gonna
technically,
go
he
on
first
vacation.
tells Ellen he can come with him, and Ellen's like, "No, I'm not leaving." He's like, "Okay, fine, keep the castle."
Yep, exactly. He said, keep the castle. He even gave him a castle.
Best
Fucking
father ever.
father of the year right there.
So Ellen suggests meeting in a camp outside the walls, but Zane states that Straff wishes to meet at his camp because of assassins,
Ooh, I
and
wonder
not to worry about
why.
Ellen getting assassinated because Set's assassins can't get into Straff's camp.
But
Zane,
what about fucking?
yeah, I
What
think
about
that's
him?
Ellen's whole point. Is like, yeah, but what about your fucking assassins?
Yeah, like what the fuck?
So Zane then compliments Vin, but neither Ellen nor Vin respond to that. And Ellen then says he will think on it and send a messenger when he has made a decision, even though Straff was expecting a date to be set. So do you think Straff will be angry that Ellen didn't set a date right away for when they're gonna meet up?
I mean, I think Straff is fucking angry no matter what. So he's gonna find a reason to be angry. I think I think he's been angry ever since fucking Ellen was born. He's
Ever
just
since
like,
Ellen
God.
didn't snap, he's like, fuck this
Yeah,
worthless child.
yeah. That's why he likes Zane so much. It's like, ha, this is the man that I want to be my heir.
Yeah, his cousin nephew or whatever.
Whatever the fuck he is, yeah. I mean,
uh,
if we're right about that, that's gonna be hilarious.
I doubt it though, because he would have recognized, right?
Yeah, right. You would think, I mean, unless he can change his appearance like a
to be
conduit.
fair, we don't know how often he gets out of Luthadel. Maybe he hasn't seen his cousin in like fucking 10, 15 years.
Yeah, exactly. A lot changes unless your name is Midnight, you know.
That's rude.
And then nothing changes from toddler to now, including
That's
height.
fucking rude. Anyways, uh, we then skip to Vin and Orisur that evening, watching from Keep Venture's walls. She thinks about how she hadn't seen Zane for a while, and she shouldn't be surprised he is one of Straff's men. She also thinks about how excited she is to spar against him again. Orisur asks why Vin didn't tell Ellen she had been sparring with Zane, and Vin replies that Ellen has enough to worry about. So, do you agree with Orisur that Vin should have told Ellen more about Zane?
Yes. I
Yes,
said
I
that.
agree. Yeah,
I'm
I think
pretty sure I said
Zane,
that.
yes, but I don't know about the other person. The misrate thing. Yeah.
The Miss Spirit. That is what they called it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Miss Spirit.
Something like that, yeah.
So Vin's using her bronze to search for the Mist Spirit, but instead feels Zane nearby. Vin finds Zane in the middle of an empty street and wonders why he never wears a mist cloak.
They know nothing of you.
After a moment
Come with me.
After a moment of silence, Zane throws a coin and then jumps up and out from it. Zane pushes Vin's coin pouch, forcing her to untie them from herself. Zane begins to jump away, never once touching the ground, and Vin follows after him, playing his game. They get to Keep Hasting, and Zane throws coins at her again as they go around the keep. They end up sparring between two of the keep's outer towers. They crash into each other, and Zane grabs Vin by her upper arm so they fall together. Zane asks her why she plays their games and lets them control her. Vin places a hand on Zane's chest and uses a coin in her palm to push him away from her. So why do you think Zane wants Vin to not be close to the others?
Why does who want to?
Why do you think Zane doesn't? Why do you think Zane doesn't want Vin to be close to the others?
Mythic your thing.
Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again.
Your mic.
What? What's wrong with my mic?
No,
It's fixed
sometimes
itself.
it picks up the I'm pretty sure it's the AC or whatever.
No AC in there.
I don't know. It picks up some
I don't
static or
know,
something at some point. Sometimes.
but it's fine now.
Is it
Mike,
still going or?
no, it's good now.
No, it's
It was
fine
just
now.
for a minute there.
I don't. He doesn't want people to see her cheat, you know.
I'm confused with the question. So
The question is, why do you think Zane doesn't want Vin to be close to the others? Because he keeps saying like, why do you let them control you? Why do you play their games? He doesn't seem to want her to be close to other people.
because he likes her and he
Yeah.
wants to be with a Mistborn and have a Mistborn child and they'd be super
It's
strong
a
together. You know.
what do you call a Mistborn child? Just a Mistborn.
Just
What if they're like
Mistborn.
super powerful?
You're just a Mistborn.
It's a Mist god.
It's the Lord Ruler.
Also, I hadn't thought of this till now, but do you guys think Zane is a noble or half Ska?
Noble.
I think it's a half ska. Cause all these noble bitches with their fucking Mistborn shit are seemingly weak as fuck. I don't know if you noticed, but
I mean,
they be dying a lot. So, um,
I mean, we've only seen one noble Mistborn so far, which is Shan.
Chandelier.
Yes.
yes. Yeah, and we saw how well that worked out for her. So
So Vin then sprays out her coins as she watches Zane fall, using 2 coins on either side of her to keep her in place between the towers. Suddenly, a coin shoots past her and lands on top of the stone wall, and Zane pulls on it to get near Vin again. They fight some more using coins until Vin slams herself feet first into Zane. However, she sees Zane push all their coins away, and Vin is left to tumble down to the stone wall. She looks up and sees that somehow Zane had gotten 1 coin and is still in the air. Zane finally lets himself drop gently to the stone wall and tells Vin that she's skilled and powerful. Vin notes that Zane was almost a bit like Kelsier. She asks why Zane came to the palace, and he says to see how they treat her. Zane says they use her like a slave, and when she says that she isn't one, he calls her insecure. Zane then shows her that he keeps a coin in his mouth, and Vin wonders how neither she nor Kelsier thought of that in the past. So what did you think of Zane's trick with the coin in his mouth?
seems like he's very old and knowledgeable.
Honestly, this dude, major trauma. Like straight up major trauma, and I can tell. Like this dude is projecting hard. He's like, "You got insecurities? No, bitch, you got insecurities."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Vin notes it in a second here. So Zane then says they don't belong with the others, they belong in the Mist. Vin disagrees and says she belongs with those who love her. Zane says how can they love her if they don't truly understand her? Zane then leaves and Vin doesn't follow. She notes that his words about not belonging with others shows as he's an outsider, and she wonders if she can exploit that weakness. She decides she has to keep sparring with Zane. So do you agree with Vin that Zane might be projecting his feelings onto Vin?
Well, yeah, 100%. But I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, I guess he is kind of wrong, but he's not wrong at the same time. Like he's kind of wrong because like you could love somebody and not know them completely, but in the same vein, you really can't say that you love like the entire person until you've known most of their stuff, because it's a lot of times what happens when like a couple moves in together, like they get married and that's when they move in together, and then like they see other sides of their significant other that they
I
don't like. So
I feel like technically that's the point of family in general. Like each person is gonna get a part of you that like they are able to understand, and I'm pretty sure that's kind of what built up in like the first book.
Yeah, like I feel like there's no way for someone to ever truly 100% know, like understand every single little piece of you. Like there's gonna be people who understand more of you or less of you than others, but like unless you literally are the other person, you can never understand someone 100%. And I don't think that makes them be able to love you less. Like
I can understand you 100%.
Even
don't
even
think you
then,
can.
like you don't really understand yourself 100% either.
It's
So
true, yeah.
Yeah. So do you ever really love yourself?
Never.
which the point in all of this is like, stop trying to love yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Just stop trying to love yourself. 100%.
Everyone should just give up on love. That's the message of this book.
That's the message of this book.
Start an
Give up
emo
on
band.
love.
You know?
Nice.
Start a ska band.
I saw what you did there.
So yeah, that was the
Is
final
that where
chapter.
he named Scott from?
I don't think so. I think it just kind of happened that way.
Yeah.
So anyways, overview questions for this
we have
episode.
these? Oh, okay.
So first overview question: if Ellen and Vin find the imposter, when in the book do you think this will happen?
Pause, because you really are bad at fight scenes and stuff.
I
Yeah,
know. I'm
right?
sorry. I
Because
just
Why did I was like,
For-
we're already done? I don't remember her talking anything about the fight.
I did a
first,
little
like
bit.
you didn't talk about like the whole like acrobatic show that happened, right? Like
I
you were
push,
like,
you pull.
okay,
I push
yeah,
and pull at the same time and hold myself in the middle of the air.
I did do that part. I specifically wrote that she uses 2 coins on either side of herself to keep her in place between the 2 towers.
And then he spits a coin out, and she has
I
no
did.
idea
Suddenly
what
a coin
it comes
shoot past her and lands on the top of the stone wall,
Yes,
and Zane pulls
but
on it to get up near Vin again.
I'm also talking about the part where he slowly goes down, which you do talk about, but you don't like ask any sort of question of like, did you know that it was possible to limit yourself like that or anything like that?
Exactly.
Like,
the fact that you can just limit
or
your
like
powers.
what else do you think they can do? Because apparently if you can do that with just pushing and pulling, you're probably going to be able to do that with other stuff.
Yeah, goddamn. And
I'm
aren't
not
you hosting
good.
this?
I'm not good at the action scenes. It's hard
Actually,
to know what to put in there without it being like it feeling kind of awkward.
now that I think about it, you could have
Part of
asked
makes it
that.
awkward.
You could have asked that when they were learning how to adjust their like senses. You know what I mean? Like how Spook was talking about. You just gotta learn to like block some stuff out.
Hmm.
So as
Uh-huh.
like adjusting part of that, like
Yeah.
it's not hitting full blast.
Spook's just so good at his fucking abilities. So,
Which, by the way, we haven't seen much of him because it's kind of scary. But
I hope Spook's still alive.
I hope he's dead.
Well, they've got us. They know we know he's not dead at the moment because Vin says she has to like figure out if he's
If the Conjurer took Spook, right? If Conjurer took Spook, could he speak Eastern Street slang?
That's why I'm leaning towards not, because like
I'm pretty sure that the Conjurer would learn how to use Eastern Street slang if they were gonna become Spook.
yeah, but it'd be more efficient to pose as like, oh, I learned how to
Well,
speak.
okay. The only reason, the only reason I say that is because he started speaking like better with.
They're supposed
Yeah,
to be like
that's
master researchers though, and like know their character inside out though. You think they would have like known about the?
okay,
Noon.
but
They
like
would have
he was
noon.
away, and it gives the perfect cover of
I'm
like,
pretty sure the word
oh,
is. I'm pretty sure the word you're looking for is known. But
I
sure,
tried to say known.
noon. Yeah, it's noon, guys.
Look, I tried my best.
what was the question?
Yeah, one of my overview questions was if Ellen and Vin do find the imposter, when in the book do you think this will happen?
Probably next chapter. I think they'll find it really soon. To be honest, I don't think it'll be late.
All right. So how do you think the meeting with Strath Venture will go, and will it happen next episode?
What if they accidentally send
Yes, next
whoever?
episode. Yes.
What if they accidentally send whoever it is, like protecting Ellen or whatever, at that meeting, and it's the Conjurer, and it's like, aha, you're alone now.
And do you think it will happen next chapter? You said, or next episode? You said, Mythic.
Yeah, I think it'll happen next episode, but I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, definitely feel like I don't know. I'm gonna go on the whole idea that the other army I want to comes in, and then while they're having a meeting, I guess would be a really great time for that to happen.
And my final overview question was: do you think Sazed will arrive in Luthadel next episode?
Watch him get killed on the way there.
I don't know.
I hope he does. I hope he like.
I think Sage
makes
is going to
it.
be the key to the whole thing. So I don't know.
Well, he's.
Him and Spook.
Did he? I was gonna say, did he finish reading the whole fucking like tablet or whatever?
No, he got like 2 or 3 sentences in, and then Marsh was like, "We've got to go," so he quickly did a rubbing of it, and then he started doing like a couple sentences of translation.
Yeah.
Oh, based on the fact that Mythic is hearing his voice or whatever,
Yeah, I think
I'm assuming he'll be fine.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
He's probably
saying,
at least gonna get the
just the way that
the thing
the way
to
that
them.
it's been done. Yeah, the way that every time they read the fucking epigraphs, it sounds exactly like him. Yeah, I think he's definitely gonna say.
Considering he's usually the translator for these sorts of things, I'm
that's
assuming.
why I think like it is that way. But then again, the way he does terrorist people in general apparently is also very the same.
Yeah, it could just be he's trying to do Quan, but it just sounds like Sazed.
Like, because even she sounded very similar with like a slight little bit difference.
Yeah, because I think they're supposed to have like a similar accent, right? Like all the terrace people.
What even is the accent?
Terrace.
Terrace accent.
So terrace.
Yay. Anyway.
Yeah. Any more overview?
No, that's it. Did you guys have any other thoughts or theories you wanted to go over?
Yeah, I have a theory that one day Midnight will actually be able to give us accurate details about a fight scene. And that'll be their entire notes. Will just be the fight scene that we had that episode.
Like that'd be horrible.
I don't know.
What do you mean? Like fight scenes are the best to write about. I mean,
like places, just like when they describe like places and like things in those places. You know, like an entire living room being
that just
restructured
appears out of nowhere.
Yeah, you know? Being restructured all of a sudden. Yeah, like come on. And then we get into the questions and shit and the overview of the entire chapters, and she still can't even tell us those.
We're really getting our case, huh?
Yeah, always. I mean, like I said, I have proof. She said we weren't doing this today, so
I did say that we were doing this today. Stop gaslighting me.
No, I have proof that shows you did
faked
that.
it.
I did not.
Yes,
I don't
you
even know how to
did.
fake that. What are you
Mythic,
talking about?
she has enough gas already.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to light it.
Anyways, next episode we'll be reading chapters 18 through 22. Looking quickly at my
Are we
epigraph
though?
notes here, you'll actually start getting some of the stuff about like what the Hero of Ages was supposed to be in the prophecy. That's exciting.
Great. Great.
Pretty sure they do like 8 chapters of just describing what the Hero of Ages was supposed to be.
Out of curiosity, is there a way for you to like?
So thank you guys so much for listening. We really appreciate it, and we hope to see you again next week for chapters 18 through 22. Bye.
Uh,
Bye.